Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Post Plant podcast, episode 7, with me and Gregor over here. So,
What's how it is?
So, for today, everyone, we thought that we'd just kind of do one whole big mega podcast on the deep freeze patch, Operation Deep Freeze. Right. So we will talk everything from Tubarão to Blair to the nade changes, yada yada yada. So let's just get right into it. So would you wanna start? I mean, we can start talking about Tubarão and then move into the more spicier stuff.
Yeah, so Tubarão is really cool. I think he's gonna add a lot to the table. I put him at an A tier character, at least off of my initial assessments, just because of his ability to do lots of different things.
Mm-hmm.
He's not solely a vertical operator, as you would probably see with the C4 and the slowing gadget. I know that's something a lot of people are going to default to because that's a flashy play. And when you pull that off, that's certainly going to be really satisfying to do. But one of the things that's so cool about him is that he can work through surfaces in a way that Melusi can't, because Melusi traps can get shot right away. So his ability to throw that trap underneath especially is going to make it he's going to be a really big, pivotal kind of plug and play sort of strat character you can throw into the mix to throw people off. And then playing on different floors is going to make the attackers allocate resources to have to deal with you if they want to mitigate the effects of the gadget. So I think being thrown from underneath and having crowd control ability is strong. C4ing ability is cool to have as well. And also just the ability to slow down gadgetry is big. So he can do lots of different things. Very versatile character. I think he's going to be up there for sure.
Yeah. See, I'm more on the hot take side of things with Tubarão. Tubarão. What the hell?
You don't like him?
No. By all means, one of the absolutely most fun and versatile characters you can do. You can cook a lot with the character. You can do a lot of fun plays and stuff. However,
it's not a comp operator, huh?
Yeah, I think that was where it becomes more of an issue. Especially if we talk ranked. He's definitely an operator where you're gonna want to synergize with someone else, and especially for that solo QSK environment, I don't expect him to see that much play in regular ranked. But also, looking a little bit more from a competitive standpoint, I think it's just kind of hard to slot Tubarão in unless it's a pocket strategy type thing. I don't think it's gonna be an operator that you're gonna run every single round because you're competing against Solus, Asami, Valkyrie, Fenrir. And then it's if you want to go for the whole wall denial, then you have to spend 2 operators to stand and look at a wall and try to do that gameplay, which sure, on some sites that might be actually what you want to do, but I think it's just kind of hard to make a spot for Tubarão. And the fact that he's also reliant on others make it harder in ranked, but for a fun casual operator, yeah, I think it's going to be good. Part of me wishes that maybe he worked a bit differently and worked more passively instead of active. I'm also kind of just tired of this whole aspect of a lot of gadgets being thrown instead of I want more placeable gadgets.
That is kind of a common theme now, isn't it?
Yeah, either they're thrown or launched or shot out by something, right? And I want a little bit more, boots on the ground type gadgets, placeables like Fuse, Jaeger. Osa was really nice in that regard. It's just it's such an easy delivery mechanism that they just go for all the time. Where it's oh, you throw this, oh, you throw that. Give me some big bulky
you just
stuff
tinkering
you put
and
down.
I think you like tinkering and interacting with gizmos, Keeney. I think that might be it. You're just you like fiddling with the gadget.
Yeah.
And all the clicky clacky sounds and all that.
Yeah, all that. Well, it kind of brought up this whole what if Tubarão's gadget was just two big pylon type things that you could put down in a corner and they just kept that area frozen until they were dealt with. Would that have been cooler? Probably. Yeah. I get that they maybe didn't want him to become a just literally Kaid 2. But
yeah, the one thing I was confused about, I thought it was going to work like smoke. I thought it was going to be remote detonated. You could throw it and then hit a thing and go click and then it activates. I didn't know that it activated as soon as you toss it.
My prediction was kind of like that. My prediction was you put it on the wall and then you could it would be essentially prepped like an Aruni gate, and then you could shoot the little activator and it would activate. That could have been really cool because then you could also your teammates could use it. So you wouldn't actually have to play on the wall for example.
Yeah, have like a timing aspect to it. I thought would have been interesting.
Yeah.
But I think they were probably concerned about that ability being a little overtuned because the gadget is pretty decent on its own right. I think the ability to delay wall and help your team rotate is going to be really big.
So that's where
a
I'm kind
lot
of coming in,
there.
where I think, like, if anything, Tubarão is going to be better in comp, because when you watch comp, a lot of the times they tend to breach walls like way later, like when there's like 50 seconds left. And then Tubarão can be
and it's not
absolutely
insignificant.
huge.
It's
Yeah,
I thought it was 10 seconds. It's even longer than that when you add it or multiply it by 4. That's 48 seconds because it's 12 seconds of denial. 4 of those things is 48 seconds total. So if you space them out, that's a pretty decent amount of time if you don't get denied.
Which is also the other reason why I think he might be a lot worse in, say, like a ranked environment, because people in ranked are crazy, man. I mean, it's TDM meta stuff going on, right? If they pick Thermite, they run to the wall. They want to get that open in the first 30, or they've failed their mission. Like, guys, you do not have to breach the first thing you do. Establish map control elsewhere and then breach the wall. You don't have to get it open in the first 30, I promise you.
I must breach.
But for that reason, I actually think Tubarão is a bit weaker. Yeah, I mean, no, just spend the first two minutes just droning people in, taking map ground, and then breach or whatever. But that's why Tubarão is probably weaker in ranked. Because
what's map control?
I don't know, some weird thing pro plays.
Yeah, stop infecting my casual fun with your pro league pro league terminology, Kini.
Yeah. Have we swapped seats? I don't know. I don't know. No, but I think Tubarão might be a bit on the weaker side. I think so. That's my prediction. Not, but still like a fun operator, and I love him as an addition to the roster by all means.
I always call these wrong. I always call these completely wrong, and I want to keep my mouth shut this time.
What did you think about Grim?
Huh?
What did you think about Grim when he was shown off?
I thought Grim was going to be like how he is now. I thought he was going to be, because the only problem that he had was the speed. It was so freaking slow, and I was like, wait, okay, like on paper, this is really good. And then, you get into an actual game, and it's like, oh, people move. Oh, I forgot about that. And, now he's good. So I was halfway there. But with the Fenrir thing, I was like, you can shoot the trap? That's dumb. And then now I'm like, oh wait, this guy's getting banned. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, this guy's getting banned like every round.
Yeah, it's just an Ella with potentially 5 spots to use instead of 3. And
I thought Rooney was going to be busted when she dropped.
She
because
kind
not
of
being able to. Did she? I guess she had
the gadgets also reset automatically at one point. Maybe that was a test.
I don't remember that. I just remember being in. I remember being in the test session, not getting the memo that the gadget was indestructible, and then I tried to blow it up with a Zofnade, and then I remember like in the feedback loop that we had with Ubisoft, it was like, yeah, I think there's a bug here. You can't destroy the gadget. And the guy was like, oh, that's yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it? We'll forward that. We'll bring that up.
They
my dumbass. I had no idea, no clue.
Oh man.
But yeah, I think Tubes will be. I think he'll be good. He'll have a couple of pocket strats. He's good on. I think he'll be good on Cafe. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have those balconies, right? You have those balconies on the top floor, and then you can play the pillar positions, and so you can still shoot people, and you can toss the gadget underneath.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be good. Vertical maps, I think he'll be really good on.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think of the AR-15?
Oh yeah, I think it's so funny, and I can't stop thinking about it. You know how Tubarão looks like the I need more bullets meme guy? I need more bullets, and then he gets the AR.
I had no idea what the hell anybody was talking about when they kept spamming that in my replies. I was like, what? Okay, what is this? And then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, okay,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But it's so funny that it looks like that guy, and then they give him the AR-15, which needs more bullets.
It does. I feel like 17-year-old me would have been like rolling over the floor, ROFL, laughing at that, and now I'm like, oh, I'm getting old. This is where I'm at. I see the need. I need more bullets, guy, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. But then it's every time I mention it, it's Siege, I guess.
All right.
Some people were saying the gun was kind of busted for defense. I think 10 rounds keeps it balanced. I don't know. I think it's fine. Aruni's not busted because she has a Mark 14. It's basically a worse Mark 14.
Yeah, I think most people are still probably gonna gravitate towards the MPX. Like having a DMR on defense is nice and all, but people just gravitate towards high fire rate. Like that's just.
I'm a 1.5 crutch, so.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
But some people just really like the higher fire rate. I mean, you look at a Rooney too. Like most people run the Rooney there too, even though most high-end people would still probably say the Mark 14 is better. But it's just
there's an argument to be had that if you have really, really good mechanical aim, then you can use the DMR and get more out of it because of the higher damage output. There's an argument to be had there.
What are your thoughts on Lair?
I like it a lot.
Same.
I like this patch in general. I think just like the new content-wise, this is going to be a really good patch. I think the new map is cool.
See,
and this is coming from somebody who played Nighthaven at first, and I was like, I don't really know about this. Like, it's kind of the pathing seems a little bit off. It seems like video game pathing for the sake of it. Like, have a staircase here, have another staircase here, just for the sake of it, because it's a video game. Like the pathing of it seemed a little bit illogical, but once I got used to it, I really liked it. But Lair, I don't have that problem. Like, everything is laid out in a way that just makes sense to me. Like the rooms next to rooms and just the pathing of it, the traffic, it feels like I'm in a real building, and it has like a logical layout to it that's still fun for a siege map.
I really like it because it's a really, really modular map. You can do a lot of cool setups on that map, and I really, really like that. It's something I appreciate about Labs as well. So
I think the Ubisoft guys are starting to figure out that modularity is where the game shines. And as long as they keep adding content that builds on that aspect, that's what's going to get people interested, and that's what's going to
not Quick Match 2.0. Yeah.
Not Quick Match 2.0. Yeah.
Anyways, we'll get into that later. But I mean, I fully agree with you on the whole point that, like, again, the content-wise, this patch is really good. And to be honest, they've kind of hit really good with Heavy Metal's balance patch. Heavy Metal itself, it's just, it has that like overlying issue. But again, we'll get into that later. But yeah, Lair itself, fantastic job, IMO.
The whole second floor practically is destructible. I think there's only one section of it towards the towards where the like bathrooms are that isn't destructible, and then like half of the first floor is destructible too.
Yeah.
So there's so much that you can blow open, and there's so many paths that you can take, and that's good. Variety's good, I think.
Yeah. Man, I lost my
Did you get much chance to play it?
Yeah, I mean, we first played it on the content creator test server, which you were in Atlanta at the time.
I actually could have done both, but I was an idiot and I didn't check my emails, so that this time around it was on me.
Okay.
It was like a little like accounting thing that I missed, but
okay.
Yeah.
That's
missed out
fair.
on that.
That's fair. That's fair. No, but I got to play it quite a bit in the content creator test server. Got to figure out some really cool ways to utilize it. Haven't played much test server, if I'm being completely honest. The test server, like over here in EU,
it always dies after like 3 days.
Oh, this one died on the second day.
Yeah.
I could not get games on day 2, which is quite a big shame. And I mean, it boils down to... It's always
kind of a bummer.
I mean, it boils down to like, overall, like Siege has had a very big overlying issue in Heavy Metal, which has hurt Siege's player base quite drastically. I mean, let's not sugarcoat it. Like, statistically right now, Heavy Metal is destined to be one of the worst performing Siege seasons ever. And Heavy Metal by no means was a bad season, content-wise.
I liked Heavy Metal a lot. I thought it had a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I mean, it was good in the sense of...
Ram was like one of the most fun characters, I think, in a long time. I still enjoyed playing her.
I absolutely agree. Like,
they were like, oh, she's mid. I'm like, look up some vertical. Look up some vertical and see what you can do. I mean, there were so many different... I didn't really see her played a lot in Atlanta, but there were a couple of points where it was like, okay, this little bit of efficiency sort of helps. It's always a shame whenever something comes along in Siege where it can make a job easier. And then people look at it and go, I don't want to do that. I just want to shoot them.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what if this thing made it easier for you to shoot them? No.
Yeah.
No, I want to face check them.
Meh.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm the asshole. I don't know.
Yeah, I also saw your video you made on. This is the most surprising part about defreeze is Solus is not being nerfed. Dude, I read the comments on that short and I shouldn't have. Man.
I should like my strategy guy and my other roommate are like they just like the new policy. You know, anytime I mention comments, they're just like stop, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
That's probably for the
it's
better.
getting really bad, man. I don't know what it is.
Especially
I think
TikTok. Holy.
I think people are just kind of they want to play the game the way they want to play it, and that's all there is to it. And the people who want to play the game at a strategic level, you know, they'll do that, and they won't be an idiot like me and read YouTube comments. They'll just they'll just play the game the way they want to and do that. But everybody else is gonna feed into the conversation around like what's I don't know what seems like the cooler thing to do when it comes to winning the round. But at the end of the day, it all comes down to follow through and conscientiousness and just not ignoring the little things. And that's what makes Siege. And even if you watch it at a professional level, that's all that is happening in the background in ways that people don't see. They see the gunfighting, but they don't see the steps that take place before the gunfight.
To be fair,
and that's just kind of how
when it comes to the pro level way of doing things, they could use the top-down features so much more.
I agree. I think they should.
It's like it's so easy to like, oh shit, guy did a insane flick 4 times, but it's like at some point you gotta focus on the strategic nature of things and show how the crossfires have been set up before they execute and how it's being executed, because I've seen these pro do these flicks before, right? Like it's nothing new, but what I do want to see is how the setup is played out, how the execute is played out, and like at some point they can just admit that like, okay, the FPS part is cool and all, but it's also still a strategic 5v5 game, and you can absolutely use the top-down view more often and showcase that.
I think there's this idea that at a professional level that mistakes don't happen, which is just not true at all. Like ranked mistakes, especially, you see somebody overlook something kind of simple, and then you go, well, at a professional level, that would never happen. And that sort of disconnect, I think, motivates a lot of people. It discourages people very initially when they get into the game, because they feel like there's so many different things that they're going to miss, and they'd rather just not get into it if that's the case. But even at a professional level, man, people make mistakes. I was watching it was G2 W7M, and you cannot give W7M like free picks through simple mistakes like opening something and not putting up air jabs, not setting up a flank drone.
Yeah.
That like and they were good for a flank through a setup that they made to give themselves rotation ability to go between meeting through security on Oregon, and nobody was looking, and then a guy just got free 2 picks off of that. That's like a ranked thing that happens in ranked. It happens in professional play too. And yeah,
everyone makes mistakes.
Is what it is.
Even pros are human, right? So and eventually people make mistakes, and sometimes it costs them a very, very big game. It happens. Everyone makes mistakes. No one is perfect. That's the
thing about Rainbow Six that I like, is that it rewards you for doing the little things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So even if one man's trash is another man's treasure, right? Like one man's trash Tachanka strat is probably gonna help them win a game. They're probably gonna come up with some weird wacky thing where they bounce a fire grenade off of a ceiling and then down a staircase, and then somehow that is that going to work 100% of the time? Of course not, but it might work 5% of the time, and that'll be enough in that particular moment in time.
Watch someone make like an insane like Rube Goldberg machine with like Tachanka bouncing like 4 times.
I remember on Twitter, people were talking about Bliss doing some Tachanka stuff. I'm not giving up on Tachanka quite yet.
No, me neither.
Like that ability to shoot the fire like really far away is something, but I'm just it's one of those things where it's difficult to convey.
I think it just comes down to like it's so hard to practice Tachanka. Like we don't really have a good way to practice with these kinds of things.
Well, to your point, go on.
No.
To your point, Keeney, talking about Solus, I mean, I think half the reason nobody wants to kind of Rude Goldberg a lot of the utility stuff is because there's not really much of an incentive to in some instances, because Like your big four on defense are Solus, Azami, Fenrir, Valk.
Yeah.
And all those operators have something in common, and that's the ability to contest initial entry into the building as quickly and as soon as possible without getting droned out. And that's able to play the intel game and be able to spread your presence throughout the map as wide as possible. I don't know what the heck to do with Solus, man. I think they just gotta suck it up and take the hit, because she really she dictates so much about how the attack approaches the map.
Yeah.
She influences so much of the attack's decision making now. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I was co-streaming it with Fabian, and it was kind of funny because I remember I was talking with him like, how I think Solus is really broken, and then his response was basically something akin to, well, if you see that there's a Solus, you just leave all the drones outside. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you are the guy, but it's at the same time, it's like, you leave all of your drones outside.
That's not an insignificant thing to cut out, out of the attack.
I
think that's a huge amount of influence. Yeah. That's like a really integral part of the attacker's kit gone just because of one operator.
You can't have pre-placed drones. Yeah, or you can't really get intel on what site they're playing, which operators they're playing, what type of setup they're doing, and that's,
you can't make a plan.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to make it makes it so that instead of creating a plan in prep phase, you're now creating your plan mid-round, and that changes
you have to
a
work
lot.
In contingencies. It kind of defeats the purpose of attacker repick too, right? Because then you have to work in all these like contingency plans in case, like, oh, what if I run into this? Or what if I run into that?
That's also another reason.
Half
why
the reason Habana was so
By the way, attacker repick. I forgot to say that. Sorry if I'm interrupting you.
No, you're good.
But one of the reasons why I think Tubarão is weaker than some people might be predicting is attacker repick. If you go for this whole like, oh, we're gonna go Kaid, we're gonna go for Tubarão, we're gonna trick that wall really hard. If the attackers know about it, they're gonna go Maverick, and then you've spent two operators that are now completely nullified. So
but Maverick doesn't really have a high pick rate right now. I mean, that would give him something to do.
He saw a lot more play at the Atlanta Major compared to like during stage 2.
I gotta go back and rewatch then.
Yeah, there was,
because I missed out on that.
I think people just finally realized, like, wait a second, he's still good even without frag grenades? That's crazy.
Well, because he was so important to get the wall open. I mean, that was his job, right? Yeah. But now he's, still useful.
Yeah.
I still bring him every once. There's some strats where I feel very comfortable. I feel less comfortable without. Like Oregon, anytime I do an addict take, I bring a Mav. I still run it like it's 2020.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that that particular addict take without at least 2 hard breachers on the board, like 1 for master, and in case the addict take doesn't work.
Yeah, and it also makes it so that even if you have like a Thatcher Thermite or Thatcher Ace for one side, the Thatcher won't actually have to rotate like necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other hard breacher doesn't have to
tools.
Wait. Yeah, Maverick can just do it by himself, like the one of the sides. I mean,
hard agree.
He was honestly slept on. Like throughout stage 1, I think Maverick was heavily slept on. I do love. I don't know if we talked about it on a previous podcast, but I do love that the adaptation to Solus is like has made Blitz meta. Like now people
I've been seeing Blitz every freaking round in my 10-man servers, and he's driving me nuts. I can't wait for the shield. Like I'm terrible at fighting shields because I'll like panic and then I'll do the dumb thing, which is exactly what they want. But holy crap, they're driving me crazy right now. I see Blitz like every round in my 10-man server right now.
Yeah,
it's wild.
And it's because like he's like the somewhat best response you can have to Solus. If you know that there's a Solus, you just try to hunt her down with Blitz as soon as possible so you can start droning and shit properly. I feel like that's the reason why he's kind of become meta, because he's like the most not consistent way, but like you either push her down like like off the roam back to site so you can actually start doing things, or you manage to get a pick on her, which is really nice. And he also kind of helps against Fenrir, I guess, to a degree, because shields kind of, you can push into the Fenrir and like be aware of it.
Yeah, Fenrir is still really good. I think that he should probably be a little bit lower on the priority list compared to Solus, just because of like, like we already established, she forces the attack to just completely change the way they approach something, which is just not. It's like Mira on steroids, Oh, what do you think of the mirror thing? What do you think of the Kali and Ash
I think it's good.
counter?
I think it's good. I will say
agree.
the Maestro aspect of that thing is very weird because
Oh, and the Maestro change. Yeah, we completely forgot about
that
that.
doesn't actually. I think it only works on Kali. If Ash shoots on the Maestro cam, it still destroys the cam. So that one's kind of weird. But
Yeah, I think that was them kind of trying to explain that they have introduced new code for like a new mechanic with the what do they call it? Drilling projectile.
Yeah.
So now they have a
odd.
name for it.
It's really odd, but
which could mean anything.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to change the way that if they're going to add like a new kind of like form of destructive potential for an attacker gadget. It seems to be like that's what they're leading up to.
Yeah, maybe.
I
think it's also, but yeah, going back to it, the mirror change. People kind of freaked out about that one. Not as much as Nate's, but yeah, which is so weird because like Mira has always been a very powerful character and not really with a lot of counters either. And people kind of freaked out when you could start meleeing them, even though that didn't change much because if you're in a position to melee them, you've already taken that ground. So it's like
Mira's my litmus test for like, do you understand how map control in Siege works? Yes or no?
Well, not just that.
Like,
it's also like just looking at it from the fact that are you looking at this as a team game or are you looking at this as some weird like 1v1 environment? Because here's the thing.
Well, for sure, yeah, because you can support her with your teammates' gadgetry for sure.
You can have if you're looking at blue bunker Mira that everyone puts, right? You can put one Aruni gate on the front of the glass. You can put one Aruni gate on the double door. You can put Wamais, you can put Jaegers, right? You have so many ways to cover this Mira from being counters. Ash charged.
She needs counters, or she'd just be like, she would basically like dictate how she would make some sites like unplayable for the attack to even approach. Like there'd be no counterplay.
Let's look at this from Maestro's perspective. Maestro has gotten countered by melees and by Ash charges, right? And that's been kind of fine. Like sure, it's been a bit on the weaker side, but again, if you set up properly to actually protect it, it's been fine. Now Mira is also going to be countered by the very exact same thing that Maestro is being countered by. So it's like it kind of plays out the same.
That's Ash or Kali making a conscientious decision to use this charge on this gadget as opposed to a shield, as opposed to barbed wire, or as opposed to anything, right?
Exactly.
And it can still get countered by Jaeger or Wamai.
Or Rooney.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I think to your point, it's about whether or not somebody understands as a team game.
Yeah.
For me, it's also like, dude, Mira can basically just make some rooms unpushable.
Yep.
Like if in the right place at the right time, without the right tools to deal with her, she makes it unpushable. You have to completely change you either have to face check the gunfight with the Mira, which is extremely difficult to do.
Yep.
Or you go and you adjust your plan and you do an alternate take. But just the ability to force somebody to do an alternate take is still a huge amount of influence. And there are a lot of situations that you can't, I mean, it doesn't make for good content, right? You can't really make a clip out of like making a setup and then they went this way. That's not really entertaining content, but that is an outcome. Yes. That's an outcome that you make. And yeah, I don't know. People.
I mean, it's the same misunderstanding in understanding, say, Warden's power level. Right?
Mm-hmm.
People always look for ever since he came out, people's always looked at it as like, oh, I picked Warden and like I finally got to use my gadget. But you have to understand that just your sheer existence makes it so that enemies don't want to play smokes or flashbangs, right? In pro play, the reason why you're seeing so much Warden in pro play is because if you don't have a Warden, it opens up the possibility for the attackers to attack a repick into Ying and just steamroll you. Or if Ying is banned, they could pick a glass.
Ying is so good right now.
They could pick, etc.
Ying is so good.
Yeah, but
she's crazy.
Warden
she
holds her up.
She has so many of her grenades, and she can just throw them all throughout the room and just push something entirely by herself.
She is gonna be countered by Tubarão though, which is spicy.
Yeah.
So
I think it'll be cool to see too.
We'll see how that plays out. I'm definitely interested in seeing what the hell happens with Tubarão. That's for sure.
There's a lot to do with that gadget and the the fact that it freezes like everything, not just, I know it's obviously going to be used for wall denial, that's like the main thing.
Yeah.
But it freezes everything, right? It freezes drones, it freezes Sens' wheelie guys, it would freeze Ying's rolling on the ground.
Yeah, and her.
I don't know if it would
visor
freeze.
thing.
I guess the Ying has like a deployment time, right?
It depends.
Yeah, unless you cook it all the way.
If she throws it into the frozen zone, then it won't activate.
So it's probably one of those like chaos kind of mix up things you can just throw in there, and then people might make a mistake, and then you can capitalize on that.
For sure. Well, if
Yeah,
anything,
I mean that's not like guaranteed value, but it's better than nothing, right?
If anything, the Tubarão can
know.
throw his thing on the door the Ying's gonna be pushing from, because then her visor won't activate and she will flash herself. So there's
really,
that
it freezes the visor.
Yes. And it also works on, I believe, Glass's thermal scope. So if Glass steps in the thing,
Yeah, I did see that. I did see that interaction.
and Kali's scope, which is funny, and IQ's visor as well, which also applies to Mute now. Mute can also mute IQ's.
Okay, wait a minute.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting. YouTube short incoming.
Yeah, anyway. I mean, Tubarão basically interacts with pretty much everything. Also, he makes it so that your own frost mats can't activate. Like it's crazy. Yep, yeah, it locks frost mats, which is a weird interaction because yes, they're both defenders, but listen, there's always been like anti-friendly stuff. Like everyone's kind of mad about that. I like it for consistency.
I appreciate Ubisoft trying to follow like a thread of internal logic with the gadgetry.
Yes.
Even if sometimes it's a little like, okay, I don't know if people, how deep they can read into this one. Like people get tripped up on RAM all the time.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the wireless component is the switch, not the car itself.
Yeah.
That's like a weird thing because you can mute jammer it. But if the car goes into the mute jammer, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's like logically it makes sense.
Well, I mean, coherency.
I can see how people have a hard time understanding it from a mechanical point of view.
Yeah, I mean, coherently it makes sense. That's the way I look at it. Like, it freezes stuff, and it also freezes. Although that kind of adds the question. I remember when electrification actually damaged defender gadgets, and they removed that interaction so that you could start putting defender gadgets on walls. But now they add Tubarão, which sure, he doesn't destroy them, but he's still like...
Yeah, I think they want to make like a demarcation between ice and electricity. This is a new mechanic, right? Yeah, ice stuff.
Design-wise, it's interesting. New. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna get like an attacker.
Maybe another ice operator next year.
Yeah, we're gonna get an attack operator that like...
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you have time to talk about...
Oh yeah,
we could do a quick aside on lore stuff. Is that something you think would be appropriate for the show?
Yeah, pop off.
So
we can talk about anything we want. It's our podcast.
Some people were talking about how it's kind of lame that we got to the final. I guess like the big finale, or maybe we're leading up to the finale. I guess that would be year 9, whatever cinematic they do.
Well, it's gonna be at SI. That's gonna be like the big, just like how they ended last year with Harry being fucking shot when they announced season 1, and so that's the conclusion.
Yeah, poor guy hasn't really gotten much lip service since the first cutscene, huh? They were like, "We got to do this for Harry."
SI is the conclusion. SI is the conclusion of the year. So technically not season 4. It's like the last patch of season 4, essentially. That's the conclusion of the year. So we have yet to see the big finale.
I thought it was kind of lame that they got to his like evil secret base, and it was just sort of like, okay, yeah, he dipped again.
Well,
like I have this running gag meme where Deimos just has like, he always has an escape plan every single time, and like Sam Fisher is just like, he infiltrates one base and then he's gone, and then he infiltrates another base and he's gone, and he always has an escape plan. Like he has like a boat, he has like a hot air balloon. He's just got Looney Tunes ass.
Thank you, Mario, but your Deimos is in another castle.
Yeah. there's like a note with like a heart on it.
Oh no.
And then every time he's about to get away, it's like one of the goons is like in the gunfight with Sam, and he gets him on the phone. He's like, boss. And it's like, what? Huh?
Did you see the big Easter egg thing on Lair?
In the desk, he's got one of Harry's recorders.
It's not even close.
Oh, I missed. I must.
Yeah. So our colleague Titanium Rolo, she solved that on the content creator test server. She was up all night. It was like probably the biggest.
Oh, I remember people talking about this in Atlanta. Yeah,
it's like the biggest Easter egg thing they've put into Siege, like ever. It was like a lot of Morse code and
she figured it out like.
Well, it took her some time, but she
faster than I could have done it.
Yes,
yeah,
probably. But basically, the Morse code essentially morphed into something. It all starts with the recruit, and in Demus's office, those 5 masks that were basically giving them Morse code are essentially recruit colored. Like recruits obviously have the like blue, yellow, green, orange, red, and he has matching masks for that.
I thought he was just really into like Bionicles when he was a kid or something.
Yeah, no, it's their recruit colors. You can match them that way. So the leads, I mean, it kind of teases. They have announced some sort of rework to recruit. I think it was at the start of Heavy Metal.
Really?
Yeah, remember the patch note where they said that, like, you know, we're aware of it, so we're working on some bigger scale changes down the line to Blackbeard, Solis, Asami, Fenrir, and Recruit. So might be them teasing some sort of recruit change next year. I mean, Ubisoft has always wanted to do something with recruit. I mean, I know that this is like the he meme character, like he's terrible and that's funny. I hate him, and so does Ubi. I know they kind of wanted to sort of remove him from the game, but they can't because he's like a fan favorite thing, and it sucks. So like I don't know. I have no clue what plans they have. I always thought it would be like a cool thing to actually make recruit like an actual operator, like you just make him an operator.
Well, I think because the original conception of the idea was that it was a recruit from each unit. It was a recruit from GSG9, GIGN, right? Well, the whole like each country like sent a representative to Rainbow thing, but they've kind of moved away from that.
Well, yeah, because people got the expectation that they were gonna add a recruit for every new CTU going forward, and that was like it's not. I don't know. Recruit has always had this weird expectation and also a balancing issue because like recruit, especially when recruit had access to frag grenades pre-nerf now, he was like kind of a really good operator. Like, yeah, if he was in comp, people would pick him on attacker lineups in the current.
People don't get that.
Yeah, like he's kind of overpowered in a weird way.
He has a ton of secondary gadgets. You could just spam
a lot of throwables.
Yeah.
But yeah, since we're on that note,
so recruit and the masks.
Oh yeah, okay, never mind. Do you wanna stay on that topic?
Oh no, I thought that's where we were going, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I was done.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just I don't know. I think I guess I'll wrap up by saying I thought the Harry thing with the little recording module in the desk was cool. That added certain kind of. It's not perfect for me, right? Yeah. I mean, I'll be hard to please there because I'm a sucker for a good story. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was interesting. I thought there were a lot of components there that kind of delved into an alternate universe of like where we could take the lore. You know, if we probably had, let's be honest, a little bit more capital to do like a dedicated single player thing that's not extraction. But who knows? Maybe, you know, the year 9 cutscene will blow me away. I thought it was cool to see Harry in like a moment of vulnerability and like not being really sure about Deimos. I thought they were gonna kind of make him into a cookie cutter, like really boring, dry sort of figure, but he seems to actually have like some kind of thoughtfulness put behind him. He has a book about the history of Russia, and he's also a Voltaire guy, which I don't know how political you want to make the show, Keeney, but there are some components there that are kind of like yeah. So
okay.
Anyway,
no, but since we've leaned into it already like twice, the nade change, probably the hottest change to talk about. I can start if you want. So the comments will go on me. Yeah, so I can start if you want talking about the nades, because it's a hot topic, but. I'll go out on a limb and say that I actually think the nade change is very, very healthy for the game.
I agree.
Yeah. Because we talked about it before. We talked about the whole nades from below. And you know, we suggested other things that could have maybe you know, done it, but I think Ubisoft did go very well into the designer notes, sort of talking about why some of the other suggestions weren't really that good. And I think after especially having played with it initially, I was like, I don't know, you know, no cooking. That's like such an established thing. But like after playing with it on a test server, like it's really nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be, and they still
I agree.
do work.
One of the things that I always kind of politely disagreed with the comp community's take on the whole aspect of the ability to cook them, because I felt like for defenders there were pretty limited counterplay options in terms of a cooked nade, right?
Yeah.
Now you can have a Jaeger ADS, you can have Wamai, and those are fair counters to stop a nade. Those make sense. That's you know, I get it. Like if you're in a position and you get naded out, if you get like air bursted, there's a million different things that you can do before that happens. But one of the things I never really agreed with was the whole concept of, right, like if you place a nade properly, there were some instances where it made sense to toss an uncooked nade, but for the most part you always had to cook them. And so whenever you got a nade indicator, like the white and red nade indicator, the counterplay was always just like move no matter what. But there were some instances where it's like if you see the nade, a nade indicator basically just means you're dead anyway, if it's cooked right. So there was this weird kind of like yes or no sort of dilemma of, is this nade cooked or not? Yeah. And then that would kind of put people in a position where it's like, okay, do I stand here and then like, you know, do I have enough time to move, or am I already dead and I should like stand here and like eat the nade? That was kind of a confusing thing. I like being able to know exactly how many seconds it's going to take for it to blow up whenever I hear the clink. I think that's fair. I think that's like a fair rule. That's something everybody can agree upon and then play around. I've had plenty of instances on the test server where I throw the nade, I force somebody to move, I get the pick, and then I get the ultimate value out of it that I already was going to get. But I also have situations on defense where it's like, okay, every time I see a nade indicator, I have 2 seconds to get out.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair. I think that's fair counterplay.
It makes that gameplay around frag grenades a lot less binary, and we also move away from the whole depth charge meta, which is awful. I mean, I've seen some people think that it's like, oh, it's skill expression and stuff. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's not fun. It's not fun to be there on side.
I have such a weird. I'm so back and forth on that. Like, when you pull it off, don't get me wrong. Like there were a couple of clips I had where, like when you pulled off a good depth nade with a drone with a teammate, like that was one of the coolest interactions you had. Yeah. And that was like really, really fun to do once you pull it off. And then I recently recorded a clip where I'm just like, I'm doing a site setup for an extended roam, and I'm running back to site with no drones and no information and just kind of vibing. And somebody decides there's like a pre-placed cooked nade. I didn't know this. Apparently this was a timing for a cooked nade from below. Is throwing a nade to get rid of something, and I just happen to be there, free pick. And I get the argument of, well, that's, we can't remove one shot headshot because you randomly get wall banged. That's a different conversation to have. Yeah. But that's not fun. Like getting killed in a way that doesn't feel like you could have done anything differently to prevent it is not fun. I think that good competitive games rely on a structure of, if I lose, then it's on me. Like the other person either made a better play, they hit their shot, or they, whatever happened, took place. It feels fair. When you get killed in a way in a game like Siege, where it's like, okay, I literally couldn't have done anything differently there. The frag grenades from below definitely had that effect a lot. And I understand that in a competitive environment, you can, there's a million different cams and call outs and information and blah, blah, blah that you can do. But even then there were situations where it's like the most common counter argument I would hear is, well, the person should get off of the defensive position that's going to get naded from below if it's so dangerous. Yeah. You can't like force people to just not play for map control. That's how the game works. It's a comp shooter. You can't just like, I don't know, something about it. I maybe it's not a good enough argument. Maybe there's more that I could articulate if I have more time. But my gut reaction to the whole depth charge mechanic was always just kind of like, Like I don't know. I mean, I feel like there were a million different ways they could have approached it, but I understand why they did it the way they did.
Yeah, I mean I fully agree. Like again, like it's one of those things that's like, yes, it was satisfying that we could do it, but at the end of the day, it's for the greater good that it's going away, for sure.
What they should do is they should add an attacker that has that kind of gameplay loop,
Well,
that has that kind
to
of
be
like
fair,
ability as a primary gadget.
it already sort of exists, because this is one thing that we used to do a lot more back in the day. What you can do is you can go underneath as Ashe and Zoe, and fire the Ashe charge, and as soon as the Ashe charge blows up, use Sophia impact, and that's enough to. I think it's enough to down someone. But that, and then like you can get a kill off of that. So that used to be a way that we did like kind of a one-shot combo back in the day. I remember.
I wonder how difficult it would be to play around with like a breach from Valorant mechanic where you like put a charge on something and then it like detonates a couple of times through a destructible surface and like forces somebody to move off of a position. I'm not sure how you could do that in a balanced kind of way. I don't know. That'd be interesting. Just like a forces somebody to move kind of mechanic, huh?
Isn't that kind of what Jing does if you place the Candela?
Yeah, but that like flashes and you can't put it on ceilings, right?
Yeah, you can.
I was thinking like a launchable thing. Like you go from below and then you can like.
Well, I always thought that would have been a cool. When we were talking about like, oh, how could they fix Grim? I think it was like, well, sometime late last year or early this year. One of my suggestions that the way they could have fixed Grim, of course, the whole quick and snap here was obviously better, but that if you shot the canister on a soft surface, that it would actually burrow through and shoot the bees inside instead. So you could have actually gone below and like get bees up from below, which that could have been a cool gameplay and would have been like a little bit more unique, because I always felt like it was a bit close to like, oh, it's just
I had like
non-damaging.
I had like a meme version of Grim in my head where the bees, like he fires the bees and they just chase people and like like tear the opponent limb from limb like an anime. That was probably a little too on the nose, maybe.
No, who cares? No, but yeah,
there was like a Black Ops 3 character that had like a swarm of insects that would it got all Cronenbergy.
Going back to the nades, though, I think especially one thing that will make a lot more people okay with the change once they actually get their hands on of it. Like a lot of people who don't have their hands on it yet are complaining for whatever Siege players. But the fact that they gave it to Osa and Lion. Osa and Lion are really good at showcasing things you can actually do with the nades. You can, as Osa, you can go up, you can place down the shield, you can throw the frag behind like whatever shield or power position that a defender is playing. You flush them off and then you laser them down, right? And the same with Lion. You can toss the nade, you can activate the Lion, and then they got a choice. Do they move and activate the Lion, or do they stay and die to the nade?
Sens too, you can throw the nades through the Sens wall.
Yeah.
Some interesting little kind of,
That one I'm like a bit wishy-washy. I mean, Sledge is still fine. You can throw it from vertical. You can open a hole and you can bounce it off the soft floor so it falls down the hole.
Yeah, with the shotgun.
Well, yeah, or
you can throw the nade on the ground and shotgun it. That'll cook it.
Yeah,
I did that on the test server.
Or you can sledge it.
Can't sledge it. I tried.
Well,
when you toss if you toss the nade down and then you try to sledge it, it'll blow up. It'll blow you up.
Oh, so you need to have like the in between the floorboards placed.
Yeah,
I see. I mean, I was
it'll if you do it so like if you toss the nade and then even if you hit the animation like right away, he'll like sledge it and then the nade will kind of like go just a little bit underneath and it'll still like blow you up. Okay. But if you shotgun it, then it'll go like down to the floor and
see,
blow up, like,
I was thinking you could throw it off of the soft floor through the floorboards, so it's like bounces and then goes down. Like if you've opened the hole previously.
Oh, I guess yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
and you have to get the toss right. You have to get the timing of it like exactly right.
I think just the fact that they added that bounce cook mechanic saved it from being like. Had they not done that, they would have been pretty bad.
I think that's really important. I think the bounce cook adds a level of logic to it, an internal logic, an internal rule, you might say, that always ensures that if you get blown up by a nade, it's your fault. And it also just makes everything
Now I
don't
want
know.
bounce cooking on
Too many
smokes as
variables.
well.
Like you have a variable game like Siege. You need variability to make things interesting, but you can't just completely. You can't inundate everything with RNG decision making because then it gets boring and unfair.
Yeah, I fully agree. I almost want bounce cooking on smokes now in a weird way. That would be nice. Maybe they have it already. I don't know.
I'd like to see a little bit more done with nades in general.
Yeah, I agree.
Like stuns are kind of, they do what they do.
Yeah.
Smokes are like, Yeah, everything's gunfight meta.
That is true. Well, that kind of segues as well into the point I've kind of wanted to talk about. We spoke a little bit about it before we started recording, but did you watch the video that I posted yesterday?
I did not.
You have not. Hey, it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I'm sorry.
I know you're my biggest fan and all.
I missed it. I didn't turn on the notification bell.
Oh my god.
I know, I'm terrible.
I can't believe it. No, but I basically made a video, sort of like follow-up video, because obviously in this patch as well, they're sort of they started off by repeating again that they are confident regarding the playlist changes, and that to me just comes off as so like kind of like politician-esque answer, like everyone's kind of hating on this, but like we're confident, we're confident it's gonna work, and it's like it just kind of comes off as like really arrogant, like bro, everyone's, and then it's like, oh, we're aware of people's concerns. Like, no, you're not really aware of the concerns, because previously in the said post you highlighted fast gameplay as a good thing, and it's like, Siege is not meant to be fast. People don't want it to be that. People don't want it to be TDME run and gunny meta. People want it to be slow, tactical meta. See, I remember back in the day when like casual Siege meant you had more time to work with, right?
Yeah.
You had 4-minute action phase, because that was like,
I don't know, Keeney,
you have time,
yeah. It's a frustrating position, because I think the culture of FPS gaming has changed since 2015, and I think that a lot of people are very interested in Siege for its snappy gunplay, which I never thought would ever happen after all of the remember all the whining and gnashing of teeth over slowing down, like the Bolo lean era. I mean, we had a whole era there where it's just like, we're killing the game, it's never gonna be, we liked it because of the gunplay and the movement, and you've destroyed it, and now people only play it for the gunplay anymore.
Yeah,
even though we've slowed it down like 5 times.
Well, clearly not enough.
It is kind of funny how that turned out.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I feel like the only way to
the thing is, I fully agree with you. Like, FPS gaming especially has just gotten so much about just like the movement, yada yada, mechanical skill. But see, that's like,
they say that.
That's the thing, is that Siege always managed to not do that and get away with it, right? Yeah. Siege had the slower paced tactical gameplay. Exactly, that's what made it, like, sure, maybe it was a little bit niche, but it's what actually made Siege stand out. And now that we've gotten into this like weird ass meta where people are just kind of running in, nobody's really using the drones, nobody's planting, like you have these like 4v1 situations where like your guy with the diffuser is just going off site to kill the last guy instead of just fucking planting, and it's like, and then did you see my Siege
at 2 a.m. short?
I might have.
I was playing at 2 a.m. in the morning to get some clips, and there was a clash outside, like being funny. Oh, LOL, clash outside. And you know how like whenever you see the enemy detected outside thing, you know that there's like 2 types of players. There's 2 types of players who like see like the troll play, and they're like, okay, ignore the troll, like just go hit site. And then they're the other guys that are like, they start making like little like zombie noises, and then they run after the guy who's outside. And then it's like, well, what are these guys doing? These people are so bad at Rainbow Six Siege. They're so bad. Why don't they just kill the clash right away? And it's like, that's the problem. Isn't whether or not you can kill the clash just trolling outside. The trick is to not just
Yes.
Ignore it.
See, that's
because you won't. The reason you won't is because the Clash is there to distract so that somebody can peek from a window or something. It's a classic like bait and switch kind of like mental chalk thing.
It's so funny because I've
yeah.
abused that exact strategy on labs since labs came out. You know that,
and people they fall for it every time because they think they can win the one. Yeah,
we call it the anti-zoomer strat. That's the name of the strat. So we go basement on labs, and we put a mirror on the right side. I forgot what the site is. I think it's B site, not the Animus wall, but on the other site that goes other. We put a mirror there on the right side. Then we open that wall, and we have the Clash play there outside. So, you know, the best case, like, in order for attackers to beat that setup, they want to take vertical control. But now, all 5 of them are just running down to try to kill the Clash. And then there's just a mirror playing off of the Clash. And you can toss a C4 above the Clash, and it's free kills all the time.
I'll put it
so well.
Yeah. On Consulate, I had a thing that I would do where I put the Fenrir traps. If we're doing Garage, if I'm feeling spicy that day, I'll open up the exterior wall, the garage wall. I'll go to that little like that section that's like outside the garage, but also kind of inside the building because it's like closed off.
Yeah.
Like a building, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So I'll play Fenrir out there as if I was inside. Like I'll put Fenrir traps on like the doors and then behind the other box. And then people will be like, oh my gosh, there's a guy outside like playing aggro here, like free pick. And then they run into the Fenrir traps. Every single time. Single time they run right into them.
You just gave me an idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the caveat to that, right, is that if you want to get really, you kind of have to put all of your chips in. Like you got to kind of go all in on it for it to work, and then sometimes it won't. But what you also do is you have like 2 to 3 people behind you like playing for trades. So even if you get like bum rushed by a blitz or something, and they're like, oh, this is dumb. They're doing like a pocket strat here. This whatever. We just get the pick and move on. Then you just play the trades down, and then you're like 2v2 at like 2 minutes into the round. And it's like a goofy thing, but people don't talk about the mental game and how important it is in a game like Siege, and it's half of it, man. It's so important.
And like you said, like especially when it comes to like if you see like a person run out, or like if someone like dies on the other side of the map, like you can pay advantage, you can pay attention to the fact that you now get a man advantage, right? If you see,
I'll take the trade every time.
There's a random roamer, who just put your team in a 3v3, like they killed your 4th guy on the other side of the map. That means that it's a 2v3 on site. If you use hate site, you have man advantage.
These are basic, like FPS, like tac shooter fundamentals, and
but
people don't get that.
Nobody thinks about
like,
that. And I always try to tell
I'll play the
that.
trade down. Like I'll play the trade every single time. Like sometimes I have a game. I'll have games where my chat calls it info pinata. It's like, especially in like the rank 2.0 meta of just like, take the gunfight, take the free gunfight every single time.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be in positions where it's like, okay, and then I might not be paying attention, and then I get shot. But it's like, those moments where it's just like you think for like a half second, like, why the hell is this guy here? And then they get traded like immediately, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, and that's like, all right, cool, whatever. Because that was like, you're thinking to yourself like, that's a super reckless play. Like, why is this person? Oh yeah, it is reckless. They got traded immediately. And so, like, I'll take that. That's not an irrelevant part of the game, and there's a reason that it's counted in your cost rating.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because that's the game. It's resource management.
Yep.
It's time management. It's gadget management. It's map control management. It's a management game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I fully agree. But I was thinking. Was there anything we missed? Sort of like major part of it. I know
training mode stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh, what do you think about the T-Hunt replacement and such? What are your takes?
Okay, my hot take.
Mm-hmm.
This season in particular, it stinks. I don't think it's particularly good this season. I understand that it's building blocks for something more.
Okay.
Moving forward,
and
that's good. Because in its rudimentary state now, I understand what they are trying to do, and I understand why they had to cut T-Hunt. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
As it stands now in Deep Freeze, Target drill is just a worse version of T-Hunt.
I wish there was a toggleable option. This is just an addendum.
Yeah.
But I wish there was a toggleable option to just basically put on endless mode. Because now you go like 10 waves and then it ends. But like if I could actually put it to endless, that would be really good.
So what I'm curious about, I don't know, like, I don't work at Ubisoft, man. I'm not an engineer, but I am curious about it. I'm sure this is one of those questions where, you know, I'll ask it and then it's like, I can't answer that kind of thing, you know, which I like to do probably more than Ubisoft would like. But I'm really curious about how the AI is designed, because the Defender AI, Sterna,
it's based on players, no?
Yeah.
It's machine learning.
But they do like, you know, behaviors that most people, let's be honest, right? Like people who think that Solus is bad.
Well,
would not expect, right? They would go like, morons. why would this Valkyrie open the garage wall to get a pick on me going looking towards CC from the top of the building? Like, the more variables you kind of throw into the AI to kind of pick up on like some of the crackhead plays.
Yeah,
I think that is really interesting, and I want to see more done with that in terms of the positioning, because
they've done the same kind of silly thing that they did with the presets, right? The presets were also you sort of machine learned or whatever by the average Siege player, and the average Siege player is kind of a silly boy. Right? Like, it's just like I'm kind of in the same ballpark as you. Like, I think it could be a lot better in the future. Like, especially I think it's kind of silly that Target Drill only has a set amount of maps. The fact that you can't T-Hunt on any map now is kind of
the
bad.
lack of variety really stinks. And one of the things, so I don't know if you ever played in like CS:GO workshop maps, like aim drill maps.
No, not right now.
So Counter-Strike, I know that Counter-Strike Go had it. I don't know if CS2 has implemented it yet, or maybe the modding. I don't know the one-to-one on the engineering of the modding for that. But there were really good maps in Counter-Strike Global Offensive that were basically like pre-fire maps is what they were called. And the way it worked was you started with you could pick any map, whoever coded it, you know, whatever map was available. You started a take, right? Let's talk like Mirage A hit, for example. You would start at the ramp, and then you would slice, and then if you lost your gunfight, you start at the beginning again. And so you go like, you know, guy. Every single possible piece of like map geometry somebody could be sitting on, you had to check and clear. And so that got you like really, that basically taught you angles, right? Everybody talks about how Siege players don't like to learn new maps. Well, one of the reasons Siege players don't like to learn new maps is because they don't want to go through the process of learning all the new angles again. They'd rather play on Oregon a million times in a row because they feel like they can lean on their natural gun skill talent to basically keep everything in even playing field. And so if I go to Oregon, that's where I can keep an even playing field because I know all the angles. So I think the goal here with Target Drill is to get people to learn the angles, because they said, oh, you know, pre-play spots where people are going to play. But if you play Target Drill as it stands right now, it's not really that. I mean, people just like the predetermined spots where people will play, you know, like in quotes is kind of like, I mean, sometimes they will be sitting there. Yeah. And it's good to learn off angles, but a lot of the time it's just sort of like, okay, no one's going to be sitting here. Yeah. Someone's going to be sitting here. Someone's going to be sitting on this pixel angle. Someone's going to be tucked in this corner, right? As they get more involved with the mode, I would like to see a more robust version of it. But as it stands, I just can't really see, you know, a reason to play it over T-Hunt, which I understand why, you know, they did what they did. But if the plan is to just kind of leave it as is, that's. But I understand why they want to build a framework.
It'll probably be something that they actually make genuine improvements on. Probably.
Like, and I don't know if you saw the landmark drill. Like the.
I mean, that was cool. I
don't get it. Is it supposed to like teach people callouts?
Yeah. It's supposed to teach people callouts, which I think it's
really slow.
Yeah, and I also think it has this kind of like utopian way of thinking that like everyone is gonna jump into every map and run around and learn callouts that way. it's like, yeah, no, and then
Honestly, just give people a set of flashcards.
yeah, and there's also gonna be callouts
Give
that are
people
not gonna
flashcards.
be, the actual callouts people use, right? There are callout, like if you take Cafe for example, if you play Landmark Drill, heaven is gonna be like cocktail balcony, but everyone calls it heaven, right? If you start playing with a group of people, they're gonna be calling it heaven. They're not gonna be calling
Callouts are
it.
so weird. Callouts are so difficult because there's no
Yeah,
like as content creators, we have no financial incentive.
yeah.
Chat, I'm gonna keep it real with you, okay? We have no financial incentive to make call out videos because when we make them, it's
Everyone has
like
different callouts too.
just no money involved. And so people go in and they're like, how do I learn the call outs? Like it really is just something you just gotta
Yeah.
there's no magical way to do it. Like you just gotta play.
Yeah, you just gotta play with people, and the moment you hear a call out that you don't really get, you gotta
Just
ask where it
yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just and yeah, like it's just something like Siege is one of those games that you just learn by playing it a lot, and that's completely fine. Like that's part of what makes it cool. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, like Landmark Drill is weird. I don't know. I think Target Drill is like kind of could potentially be okay, like you said.
I like being able to play with defender guns. I like that.
On
like
where?
you can pick defender on the target drill. That's
Yeah.
something you can't do in T Hunt.
Well, not
Well, you
elimination.
can, but it's not as robust.
Yeah, you have to play protect hostage,
Mm-hmm.
which is yeah, and but yeah, like definitely like better positions and stuff for the actual targets, but also like I said, like I would love for there to be an option, like a toggleable option to put it on endless, because right now it has the lobby for an hour, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it ends like if you play like fully, it can end in like 3-4 minutes. It would be so nice to just have like an endless mode, so you don't have to keep resetting. But that's like a quality.
I also did do a couple of things on the test server where because of the infinite ammo and the hours worth of time.
Yeah.
If you really want to do this, if you're a lunatic like me, you could bring a shotgun and then just open the crap out of the entire map, and then you can.
Why didn't you go to Chunka?
That's a good point. I guess that would be faster. I picked the ACS 12.
Well, that would be
I guess
almost as fast. The Tachanka one is by far the fastest.
I'll probably do that next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, you can just
or
open
Ella,
the crap
maybe.
out of like every floor imaginable and every wall, and then that teaches you the verticality and the side setup to a certain extent too. That's how I always learn my defaults.
Yeah.
Like I'll go into the bomb room, and then I'll open a wall, and if there's another wall, I'll open that, and then I'll work. I'll like sit in the bomb room, and then kind of look around and go, okay, what's the furthest extent to which like somebody can open up something and then shoot into here?
Yeah.
And then that kind of helps me contextualize like the map control of the important power positions that people are going to play for and stuff like that.
And that's how you actually learn what you need to reinforce and stuff. Not having it done for you.
It's a map knowledge game. Isn't it annoying? It's like arguably the most important aspect of the game, and then it's the one that nobody wants to do.
Well, I think
the
it's
part that
because
nobody wants to learn.
It's weird because I don't know, like it's. I mean, it's not helped by the fact that now, like we've talked before in Quick Match, now they're literally doing it for you. So it's like, it's not something, it doesn't become a reflex that people just do, right? For us that are like veterans, it's just something, we do it by reflex, right? We just
we're also adults, Keeney, and we understand that there's no, you don't gain anything by doing everything for somebody. Like you kind of have to throw them into the ringer a little bit, and you're gonna learn today, right? I mean that's that's basically what Ubisoft said on Twitter. They were like, here, learn the new map. It's basically what I felt like they wanted to say.
Well, they literally did. They said,
and like I don't blame them, because
no, but it's
like
so contradictory, because then they start doing these things like Quick Match 2.0.
Yeah.
Right. And instead of having people,
and I feel like different departments handle different things too.
Yeah, but it is from what I've heard, the ones that are specifically like in charge of like the playlist changes are like Ubisoft Barcelona, right? So it's like not part of the actual main studio. Yeah. The playlist changes are Ubisoft Barcelona. So also the studio they're still like a fairly large studio. They also do most of the
I
balancing
didn't even know
changes
Ubisoft
and
had a
stuff.
studio in Barcelona.
But see, that's where I feel like it also becomes a clash.
I
'Cause,
thought it
like,
was. I thought it was Paris. I thought it was Paris, Montreal,
no,
San
Barcelona is
Francisco.
one of their bigger ones, and they also handle like a lot of the balancing. But that's where I feel like it definitely becomes like this whole clash, because like all the game designers and everything, you know, the main ones, they're all in like Montreal, and they have their, you know, that's where the creative director is, and then you have the Barcelona studio that's now like kind of doing these goofy things, where it's like, you know, the quick match 2.0 playlist changes and standard and everything, and it's just kind of failing miserably. And I mean, look, here's the thing. Like, I made my video yesterday, like sort of talking about this whole thing, and how I feel like it's really like out of touch and everything. But like at the end of the day, like you know, we've both been to Invite, and like spending time with the devs and everything. Like, they're really like lovely people that truly want like the game's best, and it just this whole thing just comes off as like so disheartening, because like, you know, that like people throw around these like weird ass conspiracy theories on my videos. It was like, oh, they want to kill the game and go next. Like, no, they fucking don't, you fucking idiot. Like, they obviously want the game to do well, and it's like, and it's so weird, because you know that they've spent like probably a shit ton of resources making this change, and now it feels hard to just like kind of dumpster it, even though that would probably be the right thing to do for the the greater good of the game. And I don't know, man. I don't know.
I feel like with gaming anymore, there's no gaming, especially, is just really, really inundated with this cultural phenomenon of like the terminally online feedback is not representative of most people, and most people just kind of they play the game, they don't leave a comment, they don't post a Reddit thread, they don't tweet, right? They just they see a new thing, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, and they play the game for a little while, and maybe they go to an event, and they might, you know, they'll interact on Siege Twitter every once in a while, because the game kind of lives terminally online on Twitter. But for the most part, I feel like there's just so many takes, like the one that you mentioned, where it's like, oh, you know, there's like conspiracy theory about Ubisoft corporate,
Yeah.
that I feel just get narratively spun up anymore.
Yeah.
And there's this weird, like, it's almost like this gamer like counterculture effect, where anyone who is involved in the production of a game that is big is adjacent to like all of these problems with the entertainment industry and certain kinds of monetization models and approaches that we're doing with online media and content. And it's like Modern Warfare 3, I guess, being a great example. Like, Sledgehammer, I feel so bad for them. Like, they just got thrown into the worst possible position by Activision Blizzard of just like, hey, the last studio, you know, screwed this up, fix it. And they gave them like a year and a half to just make a game
months, so not
from
even
scratch.
that.
Yeah, and it's like, who are we getting? Are we going to get mad at the devs, or are we going to get mad at corporate? And the line gets so people don't think of the devs as like employees anymore.
It's most
they just think
like
of devs as corporate, and it's like, maybe to a certain extent there's certain kinds of corporate decision making that they have to do, but for the most part, like, the big shots aren't called by the guy writing the code.
That's what people need to realize. It's the same thing with the whole quick match 2.0 thing as well. Like,
yeah,
a corporate guy is gonna like, oh, we want to, you know, attract more people from like COD, especially because whatever, it's doing bad now or whatever, and like, oh, we want to focus more on new players. But now they're kind of screwing over veteran players and stuff with these changes. They're making Siege way too casual friendly, one could even say, to the point where it's losing its identity as a tactic shooter. It's becoming so much more arcade shooter now that it blends out. It's nothing anymore. It feels like a COD with extra steps, and that's even if you play if you play ranked. Like, we have so many streamers that are playing ranked at a high level, Macy and who are miserable with the game because it's just people running around gunning. Nobody's playing objective. Nobody's planting.
Have you seen this new phenomenon of like big streamers like streamer plays Siege for the first time. There's like a new wave that's kind of happening again recently.
Yeah, but the craziest part about that, right, is that despite all that, and you know, we can always credit Jinxie for like putting Siege on the map in that regard, but even despite all of this, even despite Siege being on so many people's mind this season, Siege has seen an extreme downfall in player base. Like viewership has gone down on both YouTube and Twitch, right? Player numbers, you know, obviously you always take Steam charts with a grain of salt, but at the end of the day, they are, you know, one way to sort of represent how people feel. And like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, it is destined to probably be the second worst in terms of percentage change.
Nobody cares about the strategic aspect of the game anymore.
And yeah, and that makes a lot of the people that do care about it move away. They want to find something else.
Yeah, right? I agree.
And that's
definitely,
the thing.
It's definitely made my, you know, it's made my job a lot more difficult because it's like,
and it pisses me off because if we look at the end of Dread Factor, even despite Dread Factor having a dreadful balancing patch where they nerfed Vigil for whatever reason, right? Siege was doing really well. We were doing really well. Like at the start of Heavy Metal, we were riding a high.
You know,
we were almost Keeney, in a Siege renaissance of sorts, right? We were almost hitting 100K again on Steam charts for the first time in years.
The ironic part about the whole TDM meta like thing, you know, being such a big talking point for years now is that the easiest way to shut down TDM meta is to do the little things, is to play Siege.
Yes,
right.
Literally.
It's to do the supportive, like to do the boring stuff, right?
Exactly.
It's to do the droning. It's to do the teamwork. It's to do the comms.
Right.
It's to do like everything else. But it's like, it's too hard, or that's too boring, or that's too whatever. I don't like. I'm not even buying the too hard argument anymore. I don't even think that's too hard.
It's horseshit.
I think that it's just people just want to like. Everyone wants to hit a clip. Everyone wants to hit a crazy TikTok moment. You know, people would rather lose the round and look cool while losing than do the boring play that works and win the round.
But on that note, like you said, Siege is, you know, you gotta reinforce, you gotta, you know, drone. That's really where this becomes such a large issue, because what happened in Heavy Metal right now, when we started doing bad, what is it that happened? We got a mode that's doing all of this for you. It's playing the game for you. It's giving the attackers the site. You don't even have to go inside the building. You know where the site is, right? It's giving the defenders the setups. They don't have to figure it out. It's there for them. No droning, no reinforcing, no strategy.
Site setup. You can't
play operators that have any sort of setup. You can't play Capgun, Castle, Mira, Maestro, etc., etc. You don't have time to set up in less than 30 seconds, right? If someone on your team picks Rook, off with his head, because he just gave you another 5 seconds in prep phase that you have to spend on picking up Rook armor.
People say Siege has too much downtime. I feel like Siege is less of a like a Call of Duty game, like a hard point game of Call of Duty is like a marathon.
Can I just be completely honest for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
I feel like that entire thing is kind of cope.
I kind of do too,
like,
but kind of leading into my point.
That was an excuse we had when Siege was doing worse at one point. Yeah. But we still have done really well. We were still on our way to do really well, right? The downtime is like, sometimes it's bad, and especially it comes down to people dying too early because they're playing too hyper aggressive, and they should be punished for playing aggressive. But that could have been solved by so many other things. We could have actually... I would have rather them looked into a better way to implement drone after death than the presets stuff, because at least then the game is not playing itself. You're like, sure, you still die and that sucks, but you can still do
you know the analogy that I make out of it?
Yeah.
So like Call of Duty, like a hardpoint game of Call of Duty, you could describe as like a 400-meter dash or like a mile run.
Yeah.
That's you go in, and then it's high intensity for like a really, really like set out, drawn out kind of period of time over the course of several minutes.
Yeah.
Siege is more like HIIT. It's like slow, like resting period, kind of ascertaining what's going, and then like really high intensity followed by kind of slow again maybe, and then maybe like a climax with, you know, very high intensity towards the end. So overall, like the same amount of intensity in terms of like a competitive shooter, but it has like very dramatic like highs and kind of dramatic periods of cooldown.
Yeah.
And so I think like teaching people how to kind of get into the pacing of around that way, instead of just like, oh no, I didn't drone something and now I'm dead for 3 minutes and I'm bored, let me get on TikTok. Teach people like there's due diligence that you can do to kind of get around that. And it's yeah, like like dying in a video game sucks. Like it's frustrating, especially in a game like Siege where it's so punishing. But at the end of the day, like somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, I feel like people are just, especially, I think when people say that they don't like the way that esports has changed the FPS landscape, I think people are just saying that, like, you know, losing is annoying and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And they don't like being reminded of losing, which I get, because it's supposed to be a video game. But like, are you treating it like a video game or are you treating it like a sport? Well, you can't have both, right? You can't this is something that I say about esports all the time, especially in relation to the Siege scene. Or just esports in general. I mean, like, people want to have all of the panache and the swagger and the braggadocio kind of essence of sporting, and then still treat it like a game. And it's like, no, man. Like, you got it when you treat it like a sport, that adds a level of professionalism to it that's on a completely different level than just a game. You can treat it like a sport and be sporting about it, but at the end of the day, like, you're nobody is guaranteed to win. You compete for it, and then you work for it, and then if you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. You know, that's it's the nature of a lot of these esports tweets that happen a lot of the time in any kind of after the end of a Siege game, where it's like the difference between tweeting like a 5-paragraph essay and tweeting like, gotta do better, go next. Right? That's real. You know, it's tough to talk about this stuff because esports has such a, like, the moment that the word leaves your mouth, it invites a million different takes.
It really like, kind of comes to like the big problem of things, and that's like, I feel like Siege's biggest issue right now, I wouldn't have said it like 6 months ago, but like now I feel like Siege's biggest issue is like how wishy-washy they are with like what it feels like that they want to do. Like 6 months I would have said like, yeah, dude, they're finally like, you know, doubling down. They want to make it like a more tactical experience. Like, yeah, we're having the TDM meta, but they're gonna be addressing that and stuff. But now
we're selling it like an action movie. I mean, they had the big trailer on for year 8,
and Dread Factor felt really good. We were riding that high. Siege was growing and all was well. And now we've just kind of like hit like, we just drove straight into a wall with heavy metal, and that's despite heavy metal being such a good season.
I can't talk about anything complex on my channel right now. Like the moment I get into like a really complex Siege topic, it's like, like everyone just falls asleep. I'm like, okay, man, like what do we want? Like, do you guys like, do we want to learn how to play the game or not?
Yeah, and that like, just pisses off even more the people that actually kind of want Siege to be more of a tac shooter, and it's just now it feels like we're gravitating more and more towards just being like an arcade shooter, and I mean, that's just not what I want to play, right? Like it feels whack, and it feels.
I'll play COD if I want to do that.
And there's even worse when you see that the developers say that they're confident with this direction. Like that really sucks. Especially like if I want to play an actual arcade shooter, I would rather play Call of Duty because that's genuinely designed to be one. And Siege, no matter how TDMA it gets, will never be good as an arcade shooter. It's
Activision Blizzard's gotten a lot of crap for the campaign thing and the way that turned out, deservedly. There's a lot of issues with the $70 price point, but because I'm a masochist and I have no right to talk, you know, I ended up getting it like I always do, and I'm having a lot of fun just learning the movement and the higher T to K and the sort of like, you know, sweating it out a little bit, like kind of experiencing COD sweat in a way that I normally, you know, probably wouldn't have. But at the same time, I am still kind of in this environment of like, okay, like I can understand why a lot of people are getting a little like worn out with this crap, you know, because this stuff isn't supposed to be a job. Like it's It's a video game. You do it to entertain yourself. You do it to like pass the time.
Yeah,
And
that just
that's
makes
my
it.
whole point of my Siege channel, was to like make the complex stuff that people think is like too complex, and say like, hey, you know, if you work a 9 to 5, right? If you are like a forklift operator, you can watch my videos, and then you can learn how to do like a really complex site setup that'll help you win more games. And you don't have to have good aim. You don't have to do a million different things. You don't have to be in Pro League. You don't need Pro League level comms. Just this site setup. People do this. This is a pattern. Read into it. Put some holes here. Get a free pick. That changes the round. But it's like no, you know. And then we're back to. I feel like we're almost back to like the 2019 era of Siege questions, of just constant like, oh, you know, what scope do I use? Yeah, what gun do I use? What operator do I buy? I'm like, okay, dude,
Well, yeah, that's
this
because
is boring. Like,
because that's also the thing. Like, you know, they've had a lot of new, and that's even the weirder part, because heavy metal had a lot of like sort of like new and returning players coming into the game, but because
my RAM video is one of the better performing videos I've done in a long time.
Same.
Like,
it's just now we're seeing that we couldn't keep them, right? And I think it really boils down to
I don't know
how we've really failed the game design. You know, we've really.
What is the incentive to continue playing Siege? Like, what's the incentive to keep playing ranked? You get like a cool charm at the end.
No, but I mean, dude, like,
right? I don't know.
When Siege feels good, I want to play it, because nothing hits like Siege. Whenever I play another FPS game, I want to go back to Siege, right? Because Siege is better. When Siege plays the way it's supposed to be, it's by far the coolest fucking video game experience out there. That's why I play Siege, right? And that's what I feel like they're losing, right? That's what I feel like we're losing when we're encouraging the running gunny bullshit, instead of encouraging people to learn how to set up, learn how the operator gadgets interact with each other, you know, learn.
And people
how to
think it's
drone.
mutually exclusive too, which is the part that's so frustrating. They act like you have to pick between having good aim and doing the busy work. Like, what makes an exceptional Siege player is the capacity to have both of those things, you know. And like you can't be a well-rounded Siege player without at least like some component of that. You know, I talk a lot about how imagine what I could do if I could actually shoot in an FPS game, right? Because I have a pretty decent rank as far as I'm concerned, you know, without being unable to shoot. But at the same time, I mean, like, I feel like my baseline shooting ability is still like decent. Like, it's not amazing, but I can still, like, I'm still able to hold my own for the most part. So you do need a little bit of both. It is an FPS game.
Yeah.
But then people just like fixate on one of the two, and people like, we just have like two communities in like every freaking FPS game now that just like talk past each other anymore. It's like the guy who just wants to do nothing but shoot is yelling at the guy who's focused, you know, doing the well, we didn't do this. Why is the gadget placed here? The gadget needs to be over here instead. This is a suboptimal mute jammer placement as opposed to the door frame over here. It's like, dude, the round is starting. They're going to enter the building. Put it somewhere. Put the jammer somewhere. Get on cams. Like, little things like that. I just feel like we have these two communities just like just yelling back and forth, and then everyone's like, dude, I can't do this. Like, this is too much work.
Yep.
I'm out.
Okay.
It's a sociological FPS discussion with Keeney and Gregor.
Siege is just a psychological experiment.
I've been saying, man. See, now you're getting it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I get you. I mean, I've had my fair share of just annoying shit this season, and just seeing how this season has devolved into just, even though he got nerfed, like, it's just Warden players that, like, they're reinforcing in between sites because they don't know where to reinforce. They're spawn peeking Asamis.
They need to hire. This is what they need to do, Keeney.
Well,
they need to hire a team. They need to allocate resources to Montreal to give them a big team of people whoever. I don't know how they offloaded extraction. I have no idea how the logistics of that even shook up at all. But whatever was happening there that made them two separate projects, like, stop doing that. Get those people back, like move them to Montreal if you can. I don't know how to do that. I don't work on the 50th floor at any of these companies. But you get those people, get them in the same room as the Montreal devs, get them to work on like a 12-hour long, like single player, like
your
raid
fucking single player experience
in tandem. I'm telling you, dude, if they release like $20,
$20,
they release it like at the beginning of the year.
Okay,
maybe not even $20. Maybe
Okay.
put it in like the season pass or something.
Even better. We take the resources from the Barcelona studio, we allocate them to Montreal, and we fucking yeet and delete the playlist changes. Boom. Fix the game. There you go. Bazinga.
Saying, man, there's no like, I don't know. I mean, why do people play the game? What's their
what makes us
what makes a siege player a siege player?
Yeah, what makes us tick? It's fucking cool when like proper siege goes on, when people get droned out and they fucking die, when we open walls and we get a really fucking cool crossfire. That's cool. When you use your fucking gadget to like flush a person out of a thing and you get a frag because of it. Fucking good comms. That's cool. Yeah.
No, I don't care. I like the one-shot headshot.
No, you don't. We've talked more than 1.5. Enough about that to know where you stand there. Dude, it's just...
I like it and I don't like it. I go back and forth. It depends on how good I am at aiming that day.
I mean,
when I'm really good, when I'm feeling my shot, I'm like, I love this mechanic. And then when I'm not, I'm like, get rid of it. This sucks.
I hate this mechanic.
Yeah, the game is only good when I'm playing well.
Real.
If I'm playing bad, then it's bad.
Yeah.
Come on, Keeney. This is 101.
No. You're right.
Yeah, jeez, man.
You're right.
It's like Valorant, Apex, any game. Oh yeah, no. You really shook your head. Valorant was like, Then I said Apex, and then you were like,
yeah, no. Apex. I'm
really.
Apex could have been cool, to be honest. I did really enjoy that for a bit. Then it's just. Have you? Oh, dude! Since I made my video, I've said that a million times now. I've gotten a lot of comments about this game called The Finals, like to play that. Well, have you?
It's a new, yeah. Well, that's every Siege content creator, right? Every FPS content creator, like a new FPS flavor of the month comes out. Hey,
nobody asked me to play Modern Warfare 3. So.
Dude, I tried uploading some Modern Warfare 3 shorts, and like all of them were just like. People were big mad about that. That was like okay.
Well, it's because you get this whole gamer culture that even if you enjoy something, if it goes against the like general opinion of things, then you're wrong. You can't enjoy that. Have you not heard, Gregor? Modern Warfare 3 is dog shit terrible. How dare you make content on this? I've had the same shit. I love Back 4 Blood, right? I think Back 4 Blood was a genuinely good horde shooter that even did justice for Left 4 Dead, but then everyone is like, oh, I watched that Croby Cat video and the animations in that game are like not as good, and it's like therefore Back 4 Blood is really bad, and how dare you enjoy that? And it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like
Croby Cat had
the thing is he's gotten blasted for so many things because like it's such a like
Croby Cat had really good
shit.
points. Croby Cat had really good points for a while, and then I don't know what the heck happened, but then I guess
I can tell you what happened. He got soaked into it, and then he had to keep making it. Once people expected more content, he had to keep making content, and then you get into this spot where you start forcing content, and that's when it turns shit.
Isn't it weird how you can like algorithmically enforce like sentiment?
Yes,
like people demand a certain kind of sentiment from your content as like a
that is super weird.
Product.
But also the fact that you can get into that spot where you can literally essentially make or break games, even if the games themselves are good. Like he tried to make a video tearing apart the Resident Evil 4 remake, which is really well received. But he did like a comparison video from like Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 4's remake, and he got blasted for it.
For pointing out something that was a good thing in the industry. Or I'm sorry, was that the? Did I get mixed up?
No. Like he made it seem like the Resident Evil 4 remake was like a lazy job or something, but it wasn't.
Oh,
like,
I see. Like, wait, really? Why?
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. You get this sort of like weird like, I have to make a video on something, so you just ended up going with whatever got a remake at the time, and then it just kind of failed miserably.
Weird.
and same shit happened with Left 4 Dead and Back 4 Blood, and it's so nitpicky, and like a lot of the points in this video you can even prove wrong if you actually played Back 4 Blood, which 99% of the people that are gonna be watching his video are not actually gonna do. They're just gonna take his video for granted because that's just how this business works, and it's
people have lost the ability to. I think the internet is just frying everyone's brain. Yeah. I think people have just like lost the ability to be able to make a critique in good faith. Yeah. I think people are just like it's black or white, it's up, it's down, it's left, it's right. There's no like this happened, but it could have happened for these reasons, and there's also these other factors into like that doesn't happen. The moment that you start throwing other things into the sentence, it's like, well, you're not committed to the bit. You're obfuscating. It's like, no, man. Like I'm observing things. That's not obfuscating anything. Like the Starfield drama when it was thinly veiled. Okay, thickly implied, more like that you could like travel in a certain kind of way to planets and stuff, and somebody traveled to Pluto in real time, and I think that took like 8 hours, 8 hours
like
or something.
No real player would ever do
like an unrealistic amount of time. And they were like, see, and it's like, dude, there's so many other things that we could talk about with Starfield. I feel like this is not the right target. And even if this was true, I didn't watch any. They were like, oh, well, they implied it in the trailers. And I'm like, dude, I watched like every Starfield trailer and piece of content leading up to that I could. I never got the impression that you could like ever like, not that Bethesda doesn't make those kinds of games. That's not.
Yeah,
like it's not supposed to be like a space simulator. That was never. Bethesda's always about the immersive aspect of it, like the theatrical nature,
the simulation.
Yeah.
I really wanted to like Starfield, but I feel like it was something I mentioned that was always gonna go against Starfield's favor, and that's like the whole like subconsciousness of like, as you're playing Starfield, you just keep thinking, well, had they not made Starfield, I would have been playing Elder Scrolls 6 right now. That would have been cool.
It's a tough game to review. I think that there are aspects of Bethesda's model that are becoming out of date, and people don't want to, have that conversation yet. I don't know.
I honestly just think the whole
could be like game of the year and.
Space settings are really hard to execute because you almost always there are very few games that can actually pull off a space setting without having some sort of way that people just constantly go through a bunch of loading screens traveling between planets. Borderlands 3 had the same issue, right? It's just like, sure, you're doing all of this interplanetary travel, but it's all loading screens. Outer Worlds did the same shit that, Obsidian made, and it was the same kind of issue there, and it just ended up feeling a lot more linear than open. Whereas, like, if you play Skyrim or Fallouts, then you truly have an open world, and that's
the
awesome.
Bethesda effect is difficult to nail. That's why it's like commonly memed whenever the illusion breaks or the NPC does something kind of jank. Because it's like when it's working, it works tremendously well. I mean, like Skyrim, I could smoke a joint and just play Skyrim for hours and just walk around.
Yep.
Like the music, the setting, the sound design, it's all like really good. And then you have like one kind of jank NPC moment, and it kind of takes you out of it. But I don't know. Games are difficult to make, man, and people don't really care. They just like they want better and more demanding,
but people are so
labor demanding games.
Players are so silly when it comes to just realizing if a game is made for them or not.
Games take
the thing.
Work to make. Like you have to employ someone, and they have to do work to create the game. It doesn't happen magically. It feels like it when you're done when you're done making it. It feels like it's magic keeping it together.
Yeah.
at the end of it, but the same thing with Rainbow Six. I don't know, man. People don't know what the hell they want, and that's just the gaming industry and the entertainment. I do too, to an extent. Single player raid.
Rumble Quick Match 2.0 standard.
Prime Video. Not Netflix. Yeah, like the entertainment industry, the gaming industry overlaps with a lot of the problems there, I think, and people are kind of noticing that, and that's why a lot of single player experiences are making a comeback. Like Armored Core 6 was huge for a while. The Elden Ring expansion, Cyberpunk expansion. There's
It's
kind of
like,
been like
yeah.
a little revival of single player experience. Spider-Man went off really well. I think people are just kind of starting to realize like, hey, this live service stuff is just sort of like,
I don't
okay,
mind
like I
live
don't
service. It's just a lot of live services ends up actually like, well, one, they don't execute on it well, but also it becomes like this, like where it almost becomes like a chore to play them. Like Ubisoft kind of failed miserably with that with their like Assassin's Creed games, where it's like
mhm.
Assassin's Creed games don't work with the live service model. Like Bethesda games, like I would argue do. Like Fallout 4 for me is like a game that I just constantly come back to and I make new playthroughs because it's fun to replay that game. Like if you have a,
Never
a
played
game,
Fallout 4.
it's one of my favorite games ever.
I loved 3 in New Vegas. I played all the
I,
expansions for
I
those
I'd
several
recommend 4.
times.
It's the Fallout I have played the most. I absolutely love it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's like those games, like they work because they don't even have to be a live service because they just have so good replayability that people just keep making more playthroughs. Like instead of making
Yeah.
one playthrough that's like 50 to 100 hours long, make a game where it has so good replayability that I'd like to do 100, 10 to 50 hour playthroughs instead. Like that's what Bethesda manages to nail, and it's something that they kind of missed in Starfield with how they structured up that whole
I wanna
the
get
way
back
the
to
way
the
it worked.
artistry of this creative medium. It's getting kind of frustrating just seeing everything like completely centered around like it's either like esports, like sweaty bro
Yeah,
gamer bro stuff, or it's like a weird 8-bit like indie scroller
yeah,
thing. And it's like, oh, you should really try this, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to play the 8-bit platformer.
yeah,
I'm not that kind of gamer. I don't have like a million like different like indie games like scattered throughout my catalog. I have like I have a couple of like really robust, involved experiences that I really like a lot, and then I'll play them for 40 hours, and then I probably will never touch them again. Just like like movies. Like I'm not gonna watch like this. I've watched plenty of movies. I've watched plenty of TV shows. Um, but there's some movies that I'll see and I really like, and I might watch like once or twice. But the goal isn't to like keep going back and do it over and over again. The point is to like experience new stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for Hades too. That's gonna break my multiplayer live service
and
addiction
dude,
for
we're
sure.
getting a GTA 6 trailer soon as
Uh
well.
huh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be that. I mean, that's gonna be
I don't know.
huge.
Like esports is weird. It's like it's simultaneously the only thing that keeps a lot of these games working, and also one of the things that like absolutely enrages people about them. And it's like,
I mean, I think
what do you guys
especially when it
want? Do
comes to
you want the game
Siege,
to yeah.
there's a lot of things that's going on, especially with Siege, because like you look at League of Legends, and then there, even casuals will revere pro players, right? Like you,
Hmm.
you look at like the last Worlds, like Faker is just beloved by everyone, right?
I think like Halo is the only game I can think of where the disconnect is so like angry.
Really?
It's like I just see
I,
I
I
see
mean, I
stuff
wouldn't
with
know, but I think Siege especially. I think it just comes down to FPS games there because in FPS games,
really, you think like in Counter Strike? I never really see that in Counter Strike
no, okay, not in Counter Strike either, but
or
like,
Val.
especially for
Val's kind of Zoomer pilled though. Val's like Zoomer brained, and Zoomer's like esports.
yeah, well, and they also have Riot coming over for like a lot of League of Legends people
Hmm.
moved over there as
Well, if
well.
it's
So
one thing that Riot's good at, it's managing an esport.
yes, but it also comes down to just like you said, like with Riot, you also like Riot will expect that their pro players are more media trained and sort of know how to
Hmm.
talk about things. And I think that's one thing that Ubisoft really like failed to manage is like because over the years of CG sports, we've just had these horrible events that have happened where sort of like pro players and casuals have clashed, and it's created this really like it's created all of these narratives that people keep spinning even to this day about how pros removed Sophia Withstand, even though it really had nothing to do with that. and even it was a good change. And just it's created so much like hostility between like the casual scene of Siege and the comp scene of Siege, and nothing's really been done to mend it really, which sucks because there's just so much.
I'm tired of trying to mend the relationship with the casual community.
But the thing is,
like
they kind of have
it's driving me nuts. I mean, like if you either want to learn to play the game or you don't. You know, like there's a lot of variables involved. It's very complex. The more variables you throw into something, the more outcomes you're gonna get, and then you're gonna have to learn the outcomes. I think like Siege has had this problem of not being able to like convey its complexity very often, and when the marketing is being done really well, Siege Tales, obviously.
Yeah.
The animator, yeah. So they had a really good ad with the person behind Siege Tales, where they hit like the perfect kind of mix between, okay, this is like casual, kind of like goofy fun, but it's like the fun of it is the complexity. Like, and the guy says, like in the narration, it's just like you're gonna die a lot, like you're gonna get your ass kicked a lot.
Yeah. And
that's like the fun of it, is kind of the process of learning. But people don't. I guess people don't like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
we had those.
I can't tell if
ads.
people like they buy a game anymore and they just like, well, this is a product that I'm buying, and I'm buying the dopamine rush of like winning the match. I mean, God, like that's what it feels like half the time. I feel like that's how deep it's getting. It's like I am buying this, and this is my product. My product is to feel good while I don't know. You know, it's just like we're getting into like sociological conversations here again. But I don't know. It's just, it's getting a little grating for me anyway. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I'm kind of spacing out there. I'm gonna be honest. It's too weird.
I know. I got a little esoteric there.
No, it's all good. It's fun.
I don't know, man. It's like, oh, the casuals are mad that, oh, well, we can't nerf Solus. Oh, just bring IQ. No, that's not how it works. Like shut up. Like listen and just like try to do something a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Oh, well, they broke Mira. Mira's useless because no, shut up. Meister's useless. No.
Yeah, like at some point,
what the heck are we doing? Yeah, like,
and like, but that's kind of why I like to make my sort of like patch breakdown videos, because I feel like it can at least sort of like, try to help people understand why changes happen.
It's frustrating because if you got people that go into the conversation, they feel like it's like a us versus them, like pro league bourgeois versus the casual proletariat, and it's like, dude, that's not how any of this works. You guys got this all wrong. Like the whole community, everybody has to kind of like play the same game. Like we're all playing the same game. We can't just like leave one component of the conversation out. Everybody's got to be able to play the same game and enjoy the same game.
Except if you like Quick Match 2.0, then fuck you.
Unless it's Quick Match 2.0, then like what the hell is going on there? I think that contributes. I think you're right. I think you're right to harp on it, Keeney. I think that it really just
like, yeah. I mean, I've decided to like actually go on a break after I've done some of my content now, and like take a little bit of take a break from Siege until like they figure out this shit, which I do think they will. Like I touched on it earlier, like the Siege devs are genuinely like really good, and I love actually sitting down and like having a chat with them. And maybe the devs that implemented this are not those devs, but like the devs that I've had the genuine chance to actually talk these with, they're genuinely good people, and I do have faith that they will figure this shit out. But like it comes down to like two things. Either
they're all corporate overlords on the 50th floor with $10,000 suits, and
I mean,
like.
It comes down to two things.
Couldn't be further from the truth.
Either they will, kind of actually have the balls to stand up and say like, "Hey, we fucked up. We're rolling it back." Cool. Like, yeah, you wasted a lot of resources on trying to make this a thing, and yeah, that sucks. But you're Siege is really hurting because of it. So I really hope that they have.
I wish people had the same energy about Quick Match 2.0. Or I wish they had the same energy about their favorite operator getting nerfed.
Yeah,
as they did about stuff like Quick Match 2.0.
There's more people freaking out about minor changes like Frost rework or like
Sledge, and not even like massive like over the top nerfs, like just tweaks, like little tweaks.
But all of a sudden we have this thing that is causing like massive damage to the ecosystem. Like less people are like more people are playing really poorly because they don't know how to reinforce, they don't know why to reinforce, they don't know where to reinforce, they don't drone because they don't have to drone, and it's just causing this entire ecosystem issue where everyone is just playing face check PDM meta, and then so many people are quitting, but like nobody's freaking out over that. No, like nades are different now. It's like it's so tired because like I feel so alone. Like I know Macy commented on my video saying he was kind of feeling the same, and you know how especially like how TDM meta it has gotten for him in his games, and how he's also like, you know, kind of in the mood to like take a break now, and it's so disheartening. And I just want Ubisoft to listen, because like here's the thing, like I've always had the like how do I say it? I mean, people I've always seen me as a Ubisoft shill. There you go. Like I've been the bootlicker. I've been the brown-nosed bootlicker of Ubisoft, right? I've defended them on so many things, and let's be real, a lot of the times I was right. But you know, I'm genuinely like angry about this thing, and I will keep harping on it until they realize that, you know, you're pissing off your biggest fan of Siege, pretty much. And I'm not alone, right? Like I've had friends, I've had viewers, I've had you know, so many people come up to me and say that like they genuinely really think this sucks. And like
everybody knows you got the biggest audience share, Keeney. I mean, like you've been that way for a long time. We got most of the people who play Siege aren't people who watch PL. Like there's a certain level of complexity that is just not attainable for a lot of people. Yeah. What you do is, you know, reach out to the average person who plays the game to like kick it and kind of unwind. And if you limit that experience, then you end up losing the ability to onboard players into the more complex environment, and then you lose players that are going to get into it initially, which just is unhealthy for the entire scene at that point. Because they start in quick match.
Well, technically you unlock quick match at level 10 now.
Or newcomer, sorry, yeah.
Newcomer doesn't exist.
Newcomer, okay, then I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Yeah, that actually brings up another issue with the playlist changes, because
that shows me how out of touch because I only play ranked. I don't even know what this stuff is even going on.
New players start in standard now, and this season I have had completely fresh accounts in my standard games, which, look, I'm not gonna go on like, why am I getting noobs in my squad? Like, I don't want noobs in my team. That's not it. But new players should, under no fucking circumstance, be put into the same lobby as an 8-year veteran, because it'll be a horrible experience for them. Right? Like, if I'm going up against like a guy who just picked up the game and I'm slamming him, like I know how to set up, like he's not gonna learn much from that. Like why are you like, I don't get that. Like that onboarding aspect of the playlist changes have also been extremely weird, and that's kind of when like quick match was better, because back in the day quick match was just a lot more like laid back. Now you have standard, which is you take the old quick match audience, you take the old unranked audience, now you're having them both fight for the same mode, because nobody wants to play Quick Match 2.0. It's horrible. And so now you have these people that kind of want unranked, the people that kind of want a casual experience, and nobody's really getting what they want, right?
Don't get me started on this like insistence on putting like skill-based matchmaking qualifiers or variable factors into every single playlist imaginable nowadays with like every single live service game.
Well, that's the thing. I don't think standard actually has that heavy SBMM, which I think has actually made it a significantly worse experience. Yeah. Because I mean,
I don't know. Maybe I should play more standard.
I know COD has like this really shitty SBMM, but I always felt like Siege actually had a fairly decent.
You need like a little bit.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of SBMM tuning. It's like aim assist. There's again like there's no left. It's left, right, up, down, black, white. Like there's no. Hey, so this is overtuned, and it's like, you hate controller players, you hate consoles, you mouse and keyboard elitist, and it's like, no, dude, you like these are different inputs. I'm not a moron. I understand that one of these is going to have a mechanical advantage over the other one, but you can't just make the computer aim for someone. That's not fair. That's not fair gameplay, right? And then you just can't even. I don't know. It's like everything else on the internet now.
It's either one
like,
or two. You can't be 3 or 4 or 1.7. It don't work. You always have to pick a side, and if you're on the opposite side of me,
well, and in terms of online communities, it's 5 times worse, and that's entertainment industry stuff. That's nerd culture stuff. It's gaming.
Yeah,
gaming is hit really hard by this polarization. I think tremendously hard. And I don't know what the solution is, but it's not coddling people, right? It's not Quick Match 2.0.
Exactly. Thank you. I was gonna say that. What? How did you know?
It's almost like we've been doing this for a couple months now.
Yeah. I mean, I really hope that
we're not beating the Siege pod curse allegations like I told you with the timing of stuff. Chat, let's just I can talk to
here's
chat.
the thing. We would have done it like 2 weeks ago, but it just timed really poorly because
dude, I've been gaming industry moment. I expected a payment. I did not get it. I am in a very, very frustrating situation right now. I don't want to get into it, but I've just been working, work. So
real.
But yeah, we'll try to maintain the schedule. Also, if like it's one of those things where I mean we always say this to bookend the pods, right? It's for fun. I mean,
it is for fun.
Money is a secondary thing here. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna act like it wouldn't be cool to make a quick buck off of it. But
well, to be fair, we have the possibility to sign up our AdSense here on the podcast.
All right, well, we got it. All right. As I was saying, what? Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. No, but
yeah.
I completely forgot what I was gonna say. What did you say before that? You said something right before that.
We weren't beating the Siege pod cursed.
No, yeah. So I mean, like we said, sometimes there might be a few weeks in between podcasts. Sometimes it might be a month. But really, it comes down to like, is there actually something to make a podcast about? Because we're not gonna force a podcast, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day,
guys, this is a side project between me and
it's something we are doing for fun.
In addition to our main jobs, like this isn't our like main source of income by any stretch of the imagination. And
like
sure, we're not like Joe Rogan experiencing it out here. Like there's no like set dates really. It's just a general rule of thumb.
Yeah, and like sure we could always bring over guests and stuff, but at the end of the day we also don't want that to become a norm either. Where like we have to have a guest and that has to be the episode.
And then we got to do Discord scheduling and correspondence and blah blah.
It'll happen. We will have guests, but it'll never be like something like every single episode has to have a guest, because that's something that a lot of podcasts sort of fall into. They have guests and then like, oh, now they run out of guests, so now they have repeat guests, and then it's just that becomes the podcast itself. The guest becomes the podcast, and that's not really what this is about. This is just
audience capture, man.
This is just us rambling about Siege or whatever else has sort of interested us. And
what are your overall concluding thoughts on Deep Freeze? You happy about the patch?
I have pretty much the same. I mean, I'm happy Nate's got changed, but I have a pretty much an exact same reaction as I had with. I think Tubarão is a bit cooler than Ram, but I have the same kind of reaction.
Well, I mean, I would say literally cooler than Ram.
Yeah, bluffa. Okay. No, but content-wise, super good season, and I hope it gets an exciting balancing patch. Hope probably not, because the pre-SI patch tends to be disappointing. Because Ubisoft has no balls when it comes to that. They don't want to fuck up the game before SI BS. But
I think
in that sense, it might be a Deep Freeze might be an L. I think, but obviously, like content wise, just like heavy metal, this season is really, really good. Genuine, super solid, right? And I think heavy metal, especially with the balance patch, moved up even higher. I would definitely rate heavy metal really high in that regard. However, right, that's the thing. Both of these seasons have a giant butt. Literally. Right? the playlist changes. It is the black sheep of both of these patches. That is still in. It's, to me and to so many others, it's straight up just ruining the game. And as long as they are in, it doesn't matter to any of these people how good the new season is. And it shows, like, the hype for Deep Freeze is significantly lower compared to Heavy Metal. And not for really for any specific reason. It's just simply because there's less people around now to actually be hyped. And a lot of people just have these like underlying things that they know just... It doesn't matter how good the new content is, because underlying, the game still has huge issues with TDM meta shit, and the fact that these playlists encourage it. It's there, and it's like it's there. It's a cancer that has to be surgically removed from the game. It's a cancerous tumor that's growing on the game, and Ubisoft needs to do something about it.
I don't disagree.
I could do like a mic drop.
Oh.
Oh, that
was that? It looks like an old USB mic.
It's like a Blue Yeti.
You just dropped the shit. Oh, okay, yeah, Blue Yeti.
I think.
I guess you can drop that and get away with it.
I made a dent in my desk.
I got a.
I blame Ubisoft.
I got my AT4050. If I ever saw anybody treat this badly, I might go Avatar state.
Well, that should show you that I'm super serious.
He's really mad, guys. He's really mad.
Yeah. Anyways, when was the last time?
I think it'll be good. I get where you're coming from. I think in ranked in PLville, you know, my little private island there, it seems like everything's okay. I think maybe not.
Well, I think even then, like Pro League is reliant on an audience. And if you don't have
Nerf Solus, Ubisoft.
If you don't have players outside of, you know, ranked and you know, in the standard and quick match, then you're losing out on viewers, which
Solus isn't helping.
Yeah, consecutively it harms PL as well. And I do rank definitely takes a hit as well, because like I've, you know, as we've seen, this whole quick match mentality that it creates, where you don't drone, where you don't reinforce, that bleeds into standard, it bleeds into ranked. That's why we're seeing so much more this season compared to Dread Factor, right? Dread Factor, sure, it had TDM meta stuff, but it was nowhere near as bad as in Heavy Metal. And it's just kind of getting worse. And now you're seeing like you can go into like a high diamond ranked game, and you will have people that are standing AFK in prep phase, like they're on TikTok phase. It's ridiculous. Like, that should not happen. You should not be in one of the highest ranks of Siege and not actually play the game. It's ridiculous. And that is something that Ubisoft genuinely needs to do something about. You know, if they genuinely care. If they genuinely care, they need to do something.
I'm curious to see what happens with Year 9 here, with the marketing direction. It could just be more, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, you know, looking back at the Year 8 cutscene and the big sort of like culture shock, culture change thing that they were really gung ho on. I'm waiting for that. Like, I'm still waiting on that. You know, I don't know if it's gonna take place in the form of a form of Siege content we've never really like seen before. I don't know if it's gonna take place in. I don't know anything outside of just multiplayer live service, but as far as I can tell, the multiplayer live service components that we have right now are
Figaro. Yeah, he wants me to go to bed.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Oh yeah, I get you're up really late, aren't you? Jeez.
It's 2:30 a.m.
Okay, that sounds about like my hours too.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it was funny. Like, when you messaged me, it was like, we were gonna record there. I just jumped on my PC. I was already in bed and was like,
dude, yeah. Yeah, I feel bad. I felt like I had a couple moments there where I was just like, oof.
Nah, all good.
But yeah, I don't know, dude. The freaking, like, you got to pick one, and this has always been Ubisoft's biggest problem, is just being able to pick one.
I'm gonna be.
Do we want to do the esports route? Do we want to do the game for fun route? Do we want to do the like something in between?
To me, the answer is crystal clear, right? Like we need to embrace the tack shooter, because that's what drew people back to the game this year. We have had a lot of returning players coming in Commanding Force, coming in Dread Factor. Hell, like Rank 2.0 in that regard, like as we've seen, it actually like brought people in. A lot of people like to shit talk it, but it brought a lot of people in. And they embrace the tactical shooter aspect of it. Brava and Fenrir were fantastic, and I mean all the new operators really were fantastic in that. And that's where what they need to embrace, and we should not be looking into these things that go against that.
I agree.
If they genuinely want to create a more casual experience, then it should be something that, to be honest, is the complete opposite of what Quick Match 2.0 is. It should be a mode where you have a little bit more time to work with. Maybe you have like something like Drone After Death. Like it could be a quick match only thing. Like Drone After Death could be a quick match only thing. I don't know, right? Something like that. Like, because that would be genuinely like casual and laid back, instead of this mode where hyper aggressiveness is encouraged, because that's what we need to discourage for the game to truly do good. Because Siege is never gonna be a good arcade shooter. It isn't. It's not supposed to be one. It's not designed to be one. And any person who's looking for an arcade shooter is not gonna look towards Siege.
It's supposed to give you the power fantasy of executing a plan to its completion and getting all the little things right.
Exactly.
And out the combination of your own natural mechanical talent with your brain.
Yep.
The fusion of those two things, like these two things have to come together, and that's what makes it work.
Yep.
I know I keep harping on, you keep talking about Quick Match 2.0, I keep talking about the single player thing, but I can't help but shake it, because I go back to when I was playing games when I was a kid, and the $60 release model always just, before live service became a thing, was like you had this environment was, instead of Quick Match 2.0 being your like training wheels, right? The single player experience was your training for the multiplayer, right? That like ingratiated you to the mechanics of it, and then you implemented them, to varying degrees in the multiplayer.
That was always the ritual.
Now, obviously, that wasn't like a direct one-to-one, especially with Call of Duty, right? Like there were people that like jumped around like maniacs, and there were people who played like boomers. And it looks like, recent Call of Duties have basically tried to eliminate boomers from the game completely. But now it's like, okay, how do we, if we're having such a hard time trying to convey these concepts to people, I'm sorry, Ubisoft, but we're not getting it out of landmark drill. That's not doing it. It's not going to do it.
Yeah,
you got to get into the weeds. You got to get into like the depth of it, and yeah.
You bring up such a good point. We're kind of, I think we're kind of missed talking about that, but I'm not super sad about the loss of T-Hunt. Obviously, the replacement needs to be consistently and good, but
I don't know what people expected to happen.
Yeah, but on that note, I think the loss of the situations, that really sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
For the exact reason you're kind of describing, because same, like, back in the day, you picked up a new code. It was kind of like a ritual. Like before you jump into multiplayer, you do the campaign first. You get acquainted. And
then they made it into like a first person. Yeah, it was like a first person POV action movie. Yeah. And it was enticing. It had, great production quality, Hans Zimmer soundtrack, like Hollywood movie kind of plot with some fun twists and turns, good performances, and that kept you along for the ride.
Yeah.
And now it's just, we don't give like any live service game now, we just don't give a crap about any of that now. It's just, it all comes down to the gameplay experience. And it's like, I think we're losing the, I think we're just losing like the heart of it.
Yeah.
We're just losing the heart of the game now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of lame.
Well, that's, I mean, I guess one of the things that I really sort of dislike about all these things, right, that we've talked about, is that, like, it's just becoming super commercial.
It's product.
Yeah, it's just
all product.
Yeah. And it's like, the developers identify like, it's a game has too much downtime. Make product faster, so no downtime. Therefore, it's better. And it's like, it feels, I mean, first of all, it feels rushed. It feels like they really didn't, like, there's so many better ways that you could have executed like Quick Match 2.0, right? If you
Especially with
genuinely
shooter
wanted
games
to
anymore,
change it.
there's like a weird shooter games now. There's like this weird kind of, that's what I appreciate about Siege, is that it's willing to, we didn't talk about the representation stuff with Tubarao, but because I didn't want to like, you know, make it into the, you know, the Gregor like pronoun hour. But
Yeah,
there was an interesting component there of Tubarao being a trans man. And I thought that what is like really cool about this game is that it doesn't make that into like the whole, it's like this is the most important thing about this person's character, right? It just says like
it's not
because
like
it's supposed to be a person,
yeah,
right?
it's
It's
not
supposed to be a
Tubarao's
person. Like you don't go
defining
around.
trait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just says like there are people in this environment that do this job, and that's, you know, that's how you do that sort of thing tastefully in a smart and non-commodified and respectful.
You make it seem like a completely normal thing, as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a really good job there. Yeah.
I feel like there's so many components of that just get overlooked by the live service model. And it's so weird because I can't think of a single game that is a live service game like Siege that has been able to like unify these two talking points of like military and police, you know, law enforcement service, or people that work in the security community, and these topics about representation, and kind of like put these two things together in a way that makes sense. I don't think Call of Duty's is never going to do it. They're too scared. And you know, Overwatch kind of does it to a certain extent, but obviously look at how that all shook out, right? And you know, and Valorant's able to get away. Valorant's able to kind of take themselves out of the conversation there because it's not like a military focused game, so that way they don't have to get into like the political weeds. But Siege has always been the game that kind of like everybody can get behind. Like it's true to its name, Team Rainbow. Like every single kind of person I can think of on every freaking spectrum that you can throw in there. I know a very wide variety of people that play Siege from any kind of viewpoint. And I think that's part of what makes it work, is trying to sell that appeal of like anybody can do this. Like this isn't something that is gate kept in PL. PL is not gatekeeping how to drone. PL is not gatekeeping how to do a site setup. PL is not gatekeeping how to do an operator selection. Like these are simple things that anybody can pick up if you just take the time to learn it.
Yeah.
And I think we've lost sight of that. And I thought we were getting there with year 8, because like the stakes like seemed a lot more enticing. Like Harry gets shot, and Harry, you know, like I mean he's a tie-in for a lot of these. There was a really, I'm gonna get in the lore hour here before we wrap, because I know we've been on it for a while. But there was a really interesting line that they gave in the. I'm glad they're doing a little bit more of this environmental storytelling, because that kind of like scratches that itch for myself. But there was a line he gave in the recording in the Deimos map, where he says something to the effect of like, you know, I want to be a leader. You know, I've always like led with my mind. You know, I'm not sure if I have the strength to like, you know, do the rest here. And that's basically like, you know, like a clipboard guy, like a nerd, like a book nerd who's like, you know, he probably knows like 5 different languages and knows a lot about world religions and politics and history, where he's like, he's trying, like he's contributing to the mission statement here of like international security cooperation, but he's not doing it in like a door kicky, like martial kind of way. He, you know, like he's a stand-in for a much more bigger picture kind of approach to the topic. And when you just focus solely on the just like, it's all about mechanical stuff, it's all about the mechanics, like you said, to the arcade shooter part, that doesn't just ignore the heart of Siege for me in terms of like the game design. That ignores like the heart of Siege in terms of like what it teaches people. And that's, you know, that really stinks. And I would like for them to kind of try to find a way to approach that in a way that makes sense. But I just don't know. I don't know how you would get the capital. I don't know how you would get the people moved around in the building. Like it's just there's a million different freaking things going on. But yeah, it's like we've tried to approach this topic, but
multiple times.
But we just don't know how to. I don't know. We don't know how to stick the landing. I guess like we get in the air.
I don't know. Like whose dick must I suck to get rid of Quick Match 2.0? Like,
I just, yeah,
please.
like we have a different, because it's to your point, it feels like this is, you know, it just feels like we don't have a good idea like who we're targeting
Yeah.
to play the game.
Yeah, it feels like we're tiptoeing between like the people who want attack shooter and the people that want, well, the few like arcade shooter that somehow got lost playing Siege along the way, back when you could fucking bolo lean.
Yeah.
And it's like it's disheartening. I don't know.
I think
really
we can
hope
we can do
up.
a rebound here, but like I really think year 9 is going to be super important to figure out like, okay, like what the heck is going on.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Like,
I'm pretty sure I said the same thing about like year 8. Like year 8 was gonna be a defining year, and we were so back. We were so back in like
this is the Siege cycle. Yeah, this is the
we like Commanding Force. You know, a bit slow, but nonetheless, we were kind of back. Like Solar went really strong. Commanding Force was kind of okay. And like Dread Factor really like shot up there. Like it was hype. It was like you know.
I really like that they brought back the operator trailers and like the gadget demonstration cutscenes.
Yeah,
that was big. When they started doing that again, I was like,
it's like yes,
okay, like that's good.
Yeah,
again,
it felt
like selling that fantasy
so
of it, sell the like now it's just cool shit.
Now it's just becoming cyclic. Like we feel like, you know, they done goofed, and like I still feel like it's so sad that they actually didn't really test this. They just kind of shoved it in as well. Like they didn't really test it, see how people felt about it, and then like, okay, people clearly dislike this. You know, let's go back to the drawing board. No, they just straight up shipped it. Like, which is so weird because the Frost rework, like again, like a small tweak to a character, ended up being tested across 3 different test servers, but like a fundamental way to that the game is played was changed, and that was just shoved in. I like.
It's very frustrating. It's very frustrating, like seeing the version of the game that I know that these guys like want to sell and want to make, and all the promotional material and the marketing and that part.
Yeah.
And then the reality of the game, which is getting team killed because you reinforce the wrong wall, and then getting yelled at.
Which is gonna get even worse because you're gonna have veterans that are gonna be mad at new players for, you know, maybe they've learned in you know, they saw something in quick match done a certain way, and it's like quick match also always reinforces the hatches, and now you don't really get the option to, like, if you want to do an extended setup above.
Yeah, so the game's always had a big like gatekeeping problem.
Yeah, and that just becomes worse now too, because you don't actually have new people learn from existing people. They learn from a computer.
For themselves.
Yeah.
Which is even more ridiculous.
Well, I mean, we've talked about it before. You don't really learn.
The people make their own decisions? What?
Yeah.
What?
Well,
oh my God.
Mr.
What if they're stupid?
Gregor,
sorry.
We have rambled on for quite some time. I think this might be our longest episode. This might be the longest episode. I think our first one was like 147. We've gone for 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Jeez, yeah, we should wrap.
So I'm gonna make a cut there, but moral of the story, just roll back Quick Match 2.0, UB, please. Thank you. All right,
do something with all this promo stuff you're doing that isn't just like please don't let this all just be marketing.
Real
UB, I love you guys. I love this. I love this whole immersion of it. Come on. Like, no.
Oh wait, I have the book. I have the book somewhere as well. Oh wait, let me get the book.
Sorry, homegirl.
Let me get the book.
Yeah.
Look. Book friends.
Yeah, book friends, dude.
Yeah.
And I have a special limited edition copy with commentary from my late father.
Well,
R.I.P.
Look at that. I got it too. Okay, I don't have the commentary.
Yeah. Yeah, this is my special edition for me.
It's your special edition. Okay, yeah, I don't have that. But yeah, anyways,
I give a crap about it, and it's frustrating to see it just relegated to just nothing but like more live service, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, can we take some risks here, guys? Like, let's try to do something fun. Let's try to do something cool.
Yep.
I don't know. I can't make that call because I don't work at, whatever.
That's where we're gonna wrap it down. So
yeah,
bye everyone, and we'll see you in the next one. That's totally not gonna be a month from now on.
Thanks for watching, guys. Yeah.
Bye.
Deuces.